Hello everyone, welcome to What If Jujutsu Kaisen Verse Reacts to Yuji Itadori from Different Timeline Part 1. Before we start, please go support matiasterreeo for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Yuji is a male. Prologue plus Chapter 1. You could see a fairly large movie theater where there was a man wearing a black suit with a white shirt along with a mask of the same color, watching that everything was ready. Me. There are candy, I said, looking at candy. Ready. Comfortable seats, I said, looking at the seats. Ready. Food, I said, going to the kitchen. Yes, it's ready, I said, excited. Good time to bring them, I said, to look for my phone. I looked for my phone and searched for the teleport app to bring my guests so they could react, but I got an error. Me. Let's see. The app is under maintenance. It's possible that it may have glitches when using it and bring people from different times. Well, I don't see it so bad, I said, to teleport the Jujutsu people. No way, there are a lot, I said, to see the app. Let's see. Yuta and Geto from JJK0. Good, no problem, I said. Carefree students from the first season. No problem, I said. Unimportant. And Jean and Kaori. Damn, I said, a little nervous. And Yuji from the end, I said, incredulously. Good, no problem, I think, I said, a little nervous. You should have waited for it to be fixed, he said, scaring me. Me, Kaya. Don't scare me like that, said, calming my breathing. I'm sorry, boss, but you should have waited, he said with a mocking smile. Me, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it, I said nonchalantly. Well, now I have to wait for them to wake up, I said, to start playing. While I was playing, the person just walked away huffing and puffing, annoyed that I wasn't paying attention to him. But since I didn't care, I just ignored him and waited for my guests to wake up from their nap. Me. I'd better change to Yuji, I said, to smell him. He stinks like a rotten ditch, I said with disgust. While I carry Yuji like a sack of potatoes to take him to bathe, I simply put the screen and went to take Yuji to bathe. While the guests were getting up little by little, some were wondering where they were, others were wondering why their curse techniques were not working while they saw the sorceress/students. Yuta. This is weird. I was cleaning up the mess we made, said, a little nervous. Nobara, ugh. I was about to go shopping, she said, a little annoyed. Maki. I was going to train with Panda, she said, confused. Geto. Damn, I was going to go shopping with the girls, he said, confused. Gojo saw Geto in the distance. Since he didn't believe it was him, he had killed him. He saw how the blood splashed on his face, how he had thrown the red at him. But they saw how the screen started. Screen. Hello, my dear guests. I hope you are doing very well. Megumi, where are we? I asked seriously. Screen. For now it is information that I cannot say. Besides that, my boss put a barrier that prevents the use of cursed energy. Nanami. And why would he bring us here if he couldn't even use cursed energy? Asked, confused in the air. Screen. Ladies and gentlemen, today my boss brought you here to see something you never even dreamed of seeing. Today you will see universes. Yuta, wait, was that theory about there being many universes true? Said in disbelief. Maki, well, if curses exist, it wouldn't be so crazy if other universes existed like in the movies, he said, thinking. Gojo, well, it will be very entertaining to see something different, he said, happy and funny. Megumi, and what will happen to the remaining curses and sorcerers? I asked curiously but seriously. Screen. Nothing, they will just stay in their place quietly. Nanami, in other words, time froze, right? I asked seriously. Screen. If you could say that your world is frozen in time. Nobara, well, what will we see? Asked curiously. Screen. Well, for now you will see someone you know very well, and others will meet him in the future. You will see the only one who rivals Sukuna, the only one who critically damaged his pride and who is a monster in every word, the one and only Yuji Itadori. Shoko, the boy looks good, said, neutrally, smoking. Geto and Gojo looked at her carefully with black glasses and caps that said FBI, making many see it with a drop of sweat. Nobara. Leaving my idiot teacher, said, hurting Gojo, because Miss Shoko is right. Yuji doesn't look bad. When did he learn to dress like a refined person? Asked, confused. Nanami. Well, at least she dresses better, said, neutral. Jean, ugh, what happened? I was sure I was eating pizza with Toji, said, in the air, confused. Kaori. Go, so we will see my son, she said, happy and excited. Yuta, Who is he? Asked confused Six with a nervous smile. Screen. Don't worry, you'll meet him in the future, but now we'll see a somewhat different one. Nobara. Because this doesn't give me a good feeling, she said, a little nervous. Megumi. I'm the same. I think we'll see something we won't like, he said uneasily. Gojo. It shouldn't be anything ugly, he said nonchalantly. Screen. Okay, take a seat if you like in the kitchen, which is in the back. You can go get some food or candy. Well, let's get started. On the screen. I was just a normal boy. I don't know what happened to me anymore. All that mental abuse, I think it has driven me crazy. Overwhelmed every night by dark thoughts, desolate in this world where I have put 10,000 walls, today I am moving to a new city without the desire or ability to have hope for this new opportunity. Outside. Megumi. We started badly, said neutral but worried. Nanami. What's happening to Yuji? Asked seriously but worried. Gojo. Maybe it's sadness or something like that, said carefree. Nobara. But it seems that she was being bullied, she said, a little angry. Yuta. One question, are there curses there? He asked nervously as he felt several eyes on him. Screen. No curses, but you'll see that later. Gojo. A world without curses means a world without witchcraft. That means we're normal, right? I asked, thinking. Screen. Yes, let's say yes. Nobara. That gives me a very bad feeling, she said, not very sure. Nanami. And why don't the parents do something? I asked, confused and serious. Screen. Well, it's a somewhat delicate subject, but I'll say it. Although his parents were middle class, his father moved him from city to city for his job, and his mother was loving, but Yuji hid his thoughts well. Gojo. Well, I understand what you said about your father. I'm sure it's very tiring to move from city to city, but why did he hide his problems from his mother? I asked, confused and curious. Screen. Well, it's because he did it once and took action, but his action was to tell the directors and mothers what happened, and well, you already know the rest. Megumi. Ugh, said, understanding the situation. Kaori. Poor my child, said sadly. Jean. And I did something to help him? Asked, curious and confused. Screen. Well, it is not known exactly, but it is said that you tried to help him, but his brother always defended him and helped him. Kaori. I had another child? Asked curiously and excitedly. Screen. If he was actually the first Choso Itadori, the older brother is the only friend he had. Yuta. Okay, I understand. The same thing happened to me, he said nervously. On the screen. A strange sensation invades me and runs through my entire insides. It wants to confuse me, but it doesn't fool me. It disrupts my mentality and damages it with poison. I don't want any more pain, I'm tired, everything is turning into resentment, I feel like something is going to explode inside me, I can't control that immense desire I have to kill. Outside. Nobara, a strange feeling? I asked, confused. Ghetto. He doesn't want any more pain, he said, thinking about those words. Maki. His mentality seems to be very damaged, she said, seeing how Yuji had psychopathic and suicidal thoughts. Ghetto. It seems like he's resisting those impulses, he said, watching Yuji trying to distract himself. Gojo. But those impulses only get worse, he said, worried about his student. Kaori. He is enduring all that pain alone, said sadly and with tears. Jean. It seems that he is slowly falling into madness, said, worried about his son. Inumaki. Polenta with Tuko, said, worried. Nobara. What the hell did he say? I asked, confused. Maki. They hope it's not what they think, said, translating. Gojo. Because I feel that what follows will be worse, he said, worried about what will come. On the screen. They tried to rob us and I ended up covered in blood. It felt good, and now I'm just hungry to tear the flesh of those damned people. The pleasure of seeing their suffering is what I need. Outside. Everyone would see how Yuji and Choso walked calmly towards their school, but some boys of about 13 or 14 years old approached and began to make fun of Yuji, but his brother simply insulted them, saying that they do not have the balls to face someone of their size, making one of them take out a knife and take Choso's wallet, while the other two had. Yuji to take his wallet too, and after taking their money the boy with the knife began to hit Choso, causing him to writhe in pain from the blows, but Yuji managed to get away and hit the one with the knife, pushing him to the side of Choso, but quickly grabbed the knife that the bully had dropped and began to hit and cut the other boys while a sadistic smile appeared on his face. Nobara, damn kids, she said angrily, clenching her hammer. Nanami, it seems that Yuji didn't want any trouble, but he doesn't have to let himself be insulted either, said angrily by the boys. Gojo, that's it. Right, in his ego, said, happy to see how Choso insulted them for messing with Yuji. Kaori, damn sons of hitches! Screamed / growled angrily at seeing her son being threatened with a weapon. Maki, it seems that Yuji couldn't take it anymore, she said, watching him start hitting the boys hard. Panda, that will leave several scars, said with regret to the bullies. Geto, what's coming next will be the worst, right? Asked curiously. On the screen. Keep in mind that I will be the one to annihilate them. I will undoubtedly finish off the vile humans. Just a knife, because I do not need missiles to kill and destroy the bodies of thousands. Keep in mind that I will be the one to annihilate you when I sharpen my knife with hatred and anxiety. Do not beg for mercy and let me mutilate you, because you will surely not be able to even start when Yuji the Killer appears. Outside. On the screen you could see a black silhouette of a boy while in his hand he had a knife that was approaching his face. But while he was making a cut his eyes appeared and with a sadistic and cruel smile scaring several people in the room. Inumaki, beautiful eyes, said scared. Maki, what the buck? Said a little upset. Shoko, it seems like he likes to feel pain, or he doesn't feel pain at all, she said, thinking while drinking a juice. Noabara, Yuji the Killer? I asked, confused. Yuta, this is going from bad to worse with some fear. Megumi, I think this was the softest part of this, said, worried about his friend. Geto, reminds me of Sukuna's story, said, remembering. Gojo, I hope this is the only bad thing, he said, worried and afraid of killing his student. Gojo, although he knew that it was not his Yuji, knew that at some point someone will want revenge and will do something that will mark him. On the screen. Because of what happened, the police came to my house. They knew that I would become a threat, but my brother took the blame and that gave way for the law to take him to prison because no one believed that it had been me, and now alone in my room I writhe in pain with reluctance. I ended up at my neighbor's party, but suddenly those same cretins would arrive. They tried to attack me to exact their revenge without complaining. They pounce on me with a knife and I lose my sanity. My rise to madness, bathed in blood, my gaze becomes more disfigured. I just wanted to kill those three over and over again. I hit their heads and saw them fall at my feet, but I trusted and didn't expect them to set me on fire, screaming in pain. That's how this game ends. Outside. Kaori, she said, annoyed and angry. They just defended themselves, damn sons of hitches. She said, angry with the police. Yuta, wow, his brother blamed himself, he said, impressed and sad. Shoko, it seems that he wanted to go to jail, said, drinking his juice. Maki, but why? Asked, confused. Megumi, I think it's because he feels guilty about what he did, said, thinking. Geto, or because he wants to be away from everyone so he doesn't hurt them, he said, thinking. Gojo, who is the girl? Asked curiously. Screen. She is Yuji's neighbor. She tried to help Yuji the first time, but she has a slight phobia of blood, and when she saw how Yuji stabbed the bullies she fainted and called the police and told them everything she remembered, but the police only saw the blows and stabs that Yuji did to the bullies. Kaori, really? Just because of that stupid thing they took my child? She said, annoyed. Jean, see, calm down, love, and maybe everything will get better, he said, nervously trying to calm his wife. Megumi, why did they force him to go? I asked, a little annoyed. Screen. Well, they were new in town and their neighbors were celebrating their daughter's birthday, and it would be the best way to meet the new neighbors. Gojo, okay, I understand, but why do they force him? I mean, it must have been pretty painful to see his brother go to jail, he said, worried and confused. Shoko, I think he does it to distract himself and not have those thoughts, said, thinking. Nobara, well, but I think he did worse, said sadly when she saw that he was outside bored. Yuta, seriously, you don't get tired of bothering me? I ask, somewhat annoyed to see the bullies again. Nanami, it seems that they touched something sensitive, said, worried about Yuji. But they saw how Yuji Ito began to beat the bullies with anger and hatred, but one of the bullies stabbed him in the shoulder with a knife, but Yuji took out the knife and stabbed one in the throat, killing him instantly, but the other he stabbed him in the head, killing him, but the last one came with a white canister with something liquid that he threw at Yuji, but the bully who threw the liquid had lit a match and threw it at Yuji, where it began to burn with force, where he screamed in a painful and heartbreaking way, worrying his parents/teachers/friends/strangers. On the screen. Keep in mind that I will be the one to annihilate them. I will undoubtedly finish off the vile humans. Just a knife, because I do not need missiles to kill and destroy the bodies of thousands. Keep in mind that I will be the one to annihilate you when I sharpen my knife with hatred and anxiety. Do not beg for mercy and let me mutilate you, because you will surely not be able to even start when Yuji the Killer appears. Outside. Everyone would see how the girl arrived at the scene with a fire extinguisher, but before even trying to put out the fire she fainted, scaring many, but the girl's mother had arrived, where she saw all the chaos and acted quickly put out the fire with Yuji, where he was fainted, but Kaori quickly called an ambulance, where after a minute the ambulance arrived along with some police officers. Kaori, son, said with pain, seeing her son so hurt. Nobara, I just hope he's okay, said, worried about her friend. Megumi, it seems that the neighbor had security cameras, she said, watching how the neighbor showed the security cameras to the police. Geto, I hope the boy is okay, said, somewhat worried about Yuji. Gojo, I just hope that after all this nothing bad happens to him again, said, worried. Nanami, it seems they realized their mistake, she said, watching as the officers released Choso. On the screen. I woke up in a cold hospital bed covered in plaster. I already knew something was wrong. My sanity had completely faded away. I didn't care that my skeleton was broken. They released my brother because they finally realized he was innocent, although it took a while for the answer to come. With a knife I draw a smile on my face. I didn't care that my mother was still scared. We returned to my house, but I know that my family rejects me now. They see me as if I were a threat. Outside. Nanami, it seems that they burned him with a knife, she said when she saw Yuji's white face. Megumi, why do you say it's perfect? I asked, confused and with a drop of sweat. Geto, I think it's something psychological, he said thoughtfully. Shoko, I didn't study in that field, so I don't know, she said neutrally while drinking another juice. Kaori, it seems that We returned home, she said, somewhat worried. Gina? What is this? But he stopped when he saw that Yuji was cutting a smile on his face. Maki, what the hell is wrong with him? Said, worried about her partner. Inumaki, Koropin said, worried. Yuta, calm down, Inumaki, he won't come, he said, trying to calm his friend. Kaori, no son, you are not a threat, she said when she saw her son getting hurt. On the screen. I no longer have mercy for anyone. I killed my parents. I want more of this pleasure, which is bathing in blood. I went to my brother who trembled in front of me. Good night, Choso, see you never. Go to sleep. Keep in mind that I will be the one to annihilate them. I will undoubtedly finish off the vile humans. Just a knife, because I do not need missiles to kill and destroy the bodies of thousands. Keep in mind that I will be the one to annihilate you when I sharpen my knife with hatred and anxiety. Do not beg for mercy and let me mutilate you, because you will surely not be able to even start when Yuji the Killer appears. Outside. Everyone saw how Yuji approached his mother and began to stab her repeatedly, while his smile grew when he heard the moans and groans of pain, and when he saw his hands stained with his mother's blood he began to draw meaningless things on the walls with the blood, and then he went to kill his father, who stabbed him repeatedly while he tried to defend himself, but in the end he ended up dying. Kaori, H-son said with tears, seeing that her own son killed him. Nobara, he has no mercy on anyone, said with fear. Yuta, at least it's not like ours, he said with a nervous smile. Geto, in the end I fell into madness, said with regrets. Gojo, I just hope they stop him, said sadly for the end of his student. Megumi, only his brother is left, said something upset and sad. Screen. Any questions? Kaori, what happened to my son? I asked curiously and worried. Screen. Well, after he caught fire, he began an internal struggle to maintain his sanity, but unfortunately he lost and madness took control. Shoko, personality disorder? She said, confused. Screen. It is not known if it is multiple personality disorder or bipolar disorder, so after 5 to 10 years he remembered everything he did during his madness and regretted everything and sought his death. Jean, then he regrets it, said something happy about it. Gojo, but why did he seek his death and not his redemption? Asked, confused. Screen. In his words, I am a murderer, I have no salvation, only death. Geto, I understand perfectly, he said, remembering Riko's death. Nobara, 6. How did that Yuji die? Asked sadly. Screen. Well, after a fight against other assassins he was left badly injured. 6. He simply waited for the assassins to kill him, but they couldn't kill Yuji, so they called the police and handed him over to the authorities. Maki, and who were the other killers? Asked curiously. Screen. We will see that later. For now that is all I will show you. Now you can go to the rooms that are on the right or to the recreational area that is on the left. For now you are free to do what you want. Everyone saw what the screen showed. They simply nodded and began to get up little by little, going to their rooms or going to distract themselves a little by seeing their friend's new appearance, and everything he suffered. Chapter 2. The wizards could be seen resting or eating something in the kitchen while some talked about what they saw. Although they knew it was not the Yuji they knew, it made them feel a little sorry for everything the boy Geto suffered. He was the one who thought about it the most, since if it had been one of the girls it would hurt him to see them like that. But someone was next to him. It was his friend Satoru Gojo. But before speaking he received a blow from Gojo. He knew he deserved it. He knew why he had hit him. Me, wow, that's fun, said playfully in the middle of Geto and Gojo. Nanami, who are you? I asked seriously. Me, I'm Batman, said amused, receiving a punch from a Geto. Hey, what was that for? I asked in pain. Geto, tell us who you are, said annoyed. Me, oh, but they are so delicate, I said mockingly. Well, I'm the one who brought them here, I said, unimportant. Yuta, excuse me, but why did you bring us here? He asked kindly and nervously. Me, well, I wanted you to see universes with me, I said, funny. Shoko, that's why you brought us here? I asked neutrally. Me, take it as a break from your sorcerer activities, I said nonchalantly. May, if you paid me to do it, I would gladly do it, she said with a flirtatious smile. Me, they already tell me that I'm interested, I said with a straight face. Well, take it as you want. They're here to have fun, I said, carefree and fun. Gojo, and now what will we see, Mr. Tentacles? I asked curiously and amused. Me, well, let me see what we can do now, I said to look at my phone, but a notification sounds. The teleportation app could bring people from other times or universes. I read out loud. Well, it can't be that bad, I said carefree. Nobara, what did you mean that they can come from other universes? I asked confused. May, and from other times? I asked curiously. Me, well, it's because there is a multiverse, meaning more variants of you, I said without importance. Megumi, and what would those variants be like? I asked curiously. Me, let's see how Gojo is a woman or a curse would be, I said, thinking, or that the former students, that is, you are taught by Megumi, Nobara and Yuji, I said, counting with my fingers, or the more normal ones that are the inverted ones, I said carefree. Everyone was surprised that there were several variants of them, but they wanted to know more. But they saw how the man who brought them was going towards the reaction room, where a portal appeared on the ceiling where 5 people came out. 3 were boys of about 14 or 16 years old, while the other 2 seemed to be about 20 to 30 years old. Choso, Yuki, next time don't try to hit me, said annoyed. Yuki, it's your fault for scaring me, he said, defending himself. Holy shit, where is it? He said, scared. What's wrong? I asked, confused. Where is Choso? He said, checking himself. But from the portal came out a child of a few months to a year, but the girl was quick and caught the child in the air, where she landed carefully while cuddling the baby. Wow, that was close, he said, relieved. Where the hell are we? I asked, confused. Me, well, they are in my reaction room and in a place far from the world, said, so that the girl and one of the boys looked at me pale. Don't tell me we're in Washington, she said, scared. Me, they inherited Yuji's imbecileness. I thought with a drop of sweat they are in an astral place, I said, so the boys would be in shock. Now how the buck are we going to get home? I asked with fear. Nobara, I'm sorry, but who are they? Asked curiously. Zako Katsukam greeting. Anna Itadori said proudly. Shoji Itadori said calmly. Yuta, my parents had another child? Asked confused. Nobara, will they be Yuji's brothers? She asked curiously. Gojo, maybe it's something symbolic since they don't look anything like Yuji, said analytically. Me, guys, introduce yourself, well, I said with a drop of sweat. Zak Okatsu, son of Maki Zenin and Yuta Okatsu, said, leaving everyone in shock and Yuta blushing. Gojo, so little Yuta dipped the potato, he said mockingly and amused, making Yuta blush more. Nobara, wow, it seems that she is taking it well, Maki, she said when she saw her. Maki, Tuna said, touching her. When Maki touched Maki, she fell to the ground, scaring her friends and classmates a little since she seemed to have fainted. Panda, that was a big revelation, said somewhat surprised. Nobara, well, who are the others? I asked curiously. Anna Itadori, daughter of Mei and Yuji Itadori, she said, happy and proud while playing with the baby. The moment Anna said who her parents were, the room fell completely silent. No one could believe what they were hearing. The 16-year-old boy was dating one of the most beautiful women. Nobara, you're kidding, right? Asked in disbelief. Megumi, how much did Yuji pay him to go out with Mei? Asked surprised. Gojo, what did your father do to make the money lover fall in love with you? I asked curiously. Anna, well, from what I know, my mom tried to sell it to my dad, and since the buyers didn't come, my dad invited her to a coffee shop and from there they started dating. She said, remembering. Mei, I see it possible, she said, amused. Nobara, going out with Yuji? Said incredulously. Mei, no, selling the Sukuna container, she said flirtatiously and with a soft smile. Shoji, well, I'm the only one missing, he said nonchalantly. I'm Shoji Itadori Yeri, son of Yuji Itadori and Shoko Yeri, he said, making the peace symbol. Ghetto, wait, are you telling me that this chimney is dating a minor? He said incredulously, receiving a Shoko blow. Gojo, but how did Yuji make this girl fall in love with him? I asked curiously. Shoji, well, the only thing I know is that it happened after he was depressed and after an accident that happened in Shibuya, he said, remembering. Gojo, well, maybe we'll see it, right? Asked curiously. Me, yeah, I said nervously. Nanami, well, who is the little one that Anna has? I asked curiously. Anna, and not least Choso Itadori, son of Yudahime and Yuji, said, so that there would be silence in the room. Nobody believed what they heard. One of the most serious people in all of Jujutsu, apart from Nanami, everyone knew that Yudahime was a straight person who followed the rules. Gojo, that crazy son of a hitch did it, you son of a hitch, he said incredulously. Choso-en, child Wawawa, said happily. Anna, yes, the white man is funny, she said, playing with Choso-en. Choso was silent, watching his little version. He was very happy that his little brother named his son after him, and he looked healthy and strong. Me, okay, too much filler, let's start right away, I said to put the video on. On the screen. There is no one who doubts his enormous internal power. Today you will receive the judgment of the Emperor of Hell. In the middle of the war, he was forced to make a decision to stop the enemy escaping from the deadly prison. Outside. Gojo, we started strong, said amused and excited. Nobara, huh? The Emperor of Hell? Asked confused. Megumi, he must be strong if he has that nickname, said neutral but curious. Geto, it seems that he is feared if no one doubts his power, he said impressed. Nanami, it seems like he wants to kill someone, said neutrally upon hearing that someone will receive a judgment. Anna, well, I'm curious to know how strong it is, she said, curious and excited. Gojo, who's escaping? Asked curiously but seriously. Mei, in the middle of a war, well, there must always be difficult decisions, she said, thinking. Yuta, But he was forced to make a decision, said something angry. Nanami, stopping someone while they are at war will be difficult, he said thoughtfully. But they saw how the wizards were in a room full of televisions where the fight between Gojo and Sukuna was being watched, where they were also planning a plan to confront Sukuna if Gojo lost, and they saw how Yuji went out to get some fresh air, but Nita just arrived, where he tells Yuji that there are first-degree curses and special-degree curses. Gojo, so I'll face Sukuna, huh, he said excitedly. Shoko, it seems that they are making a plan in case you lose the fight against Sukuna, said Analytica when she saw how Kuzukabe said an idea for the plan. Nanami, it seems that Yuji is already very tired, said Neutral but worried about Yuji. Nobara, it seems that Nita is scared, she said confused. Maki, this has to be a joke, she said annoyed and tired. Anna, what is Dad going to do? Asked curiously into the air. On the screen. In Bukio there was no chance that Fortune would smile on the curses that appeared before the edge of his murderous sword. It's no joke, the wizard does not forgive, he will leave you in a coma if you do not react, he will bring down armies with one hand protecting the backs of his dear friends. Outside. Everyone saw how Yuta also left the room and asked if there was a problem, where Yuji saw Yuta for a few seconds saying that nothing was happening while he left the place, and told Nita not to say anything about what was happening. Gojo, we need information, he said seriously. Nanami, I agree with Gojo, what is Yuji doing? He said seriously. Me, well, after Yuta kills Kenjaku, who is an evil sorcerer who helps Sukuna, I will not tell you the whole truth or else they will have something, I said seriously, and thought with a drop of sweat well what I was going to say after Kenjaku died. Had he put some portals? Or I don't know what in Bukio where he stored first class and special category curses to slow down the sorcerers, I said seriously, making the sorcerers tense. Nobara, this is bad. If they appear in the middle of the teacher's fight against Sukuna it would be even worse, she said, imagining the chaos. Yuta, but why did he say that nothing happened? Asked confused. Me, well, after certain events, now it's a little cold, but since he doesn't want anything to interrupt his teacher's fight against Sukuna, he decided to go fight alone, I said, surprising many. May, that's like suicide if you're going to face a lot of curses, she said calmly but worried. Geto, and whose sword is it? I asked curiously. Me, I have no record of that, I only know that it was given to her. Wait, it's over here, I said, looking for information. Megumi gave it to her. According to what she says, it's a sword from a former member of the Zenin clan, I said, reading the information. Gojo, it's very vague information, but since it's an alternate universe, anything can happen, right? He said analytically and amused. Me, well, you have a point, I said, agreeing with him. On the screen. Everyone saw his value in the Titanomachia. Since then his confidence is always what will guide the sorcerers to victory, which for the curses becomes the final judgment. Because his infernal force exercises brutal damage, leaving mountains of dead who succumb without more. Before his beastly sword there is no worthy rival, because they know that the King of Curses does not plan to give in. Outside. Megumi, Titanomachy? Wasn't it the fight of the Greek gods against the titans of Greek mythology? I asked confused. Me, well, you're right, it's the fight of the Greek gods against the titans, but after the fight and the war, the Titanomachy was dominated, since the fight between Gojo and Sukuna was a titanic fight, I said while reading the information. Nobara, huh? Huh? Said incredulously. Why does Yuji have the title of the King of Curses? Said incredulously and worried. Me, well, after fighting against first class and special curses, just in case, he ate all the curses, I said seriously but with a straight face. May, but why would I do that? Asked confused. Me, well, it's because there's some Sukuna left inside Yuji 6, that's his cannibalism, I said seriously. Nanami, you have to be kidding me, he said seriously and annoyed. Gojo, but you can control yourself, right? I asked curiously. Me, if he controls it, he only eats special class and first class curses so that they don't appear anymore, since being the perfect vessel, it doesn't affect him at all, I said reading the information. Yuta, I don't mean to be mean, but did Gojo win the fight against Sukuna? He asked curiously and with a nervous smile. Me, yes, I win it, and with that fight Sukuna died, having a position as King of Curses, But after seeing the massacre that Yuji did, he kept the title, I said seriously. It would be seen how the students went to congratulate Gojo for winning, but Gojo did not see Yuji anywhere. Where he asked where he was receiving that, they did not know where they were, but they felt a large amount of cursed energy coming from Bunkyo, where everyone quickly went in case it was Sukuna in another body, but when they arrived they saw Yuji sitting looking at the horizon while whistling a calm song full of blood all over his clothes and face. Panda, it's a pretty amazing view, said surprised Anna. That dad shows who's in charge, she said proudly of her father. Zack, shit, I killed so many people to make 6 mounds of corpses, said impressed and incredulous. Inmaki, Benito Flake said impressed. Me, I forgot to tell him he can speak normally here, I thought with a drop of sweat. Gojo, it seems that the title fits Yuji perfectly, he said happy and proud. Maki, and it seems that he also learned his swordsmanship, she said when she saw how Yuji trained with the sword. Megumi, and in what category is Yuji? I asked curiously. Me, well, right now he is a special category, in addition to possessing the reverse curse technique and a domain, I said so that most were incredulous. On the screen. The love for his friends that he always professed was the driving force that moved his life. Against the enemy, he tried to maintain the union, but he found out that Satoru was killed by a sorcerer. And he wanted to see it with his own eyes. He collected the remains because the idolatry of the sorcerers turned into anger, and he decided to fight it. To stop the cruel destiny wanting to avenge the death of his teacher, he opened the lock. Outside. Yuta, it seems that he loves us a lot, he said with a nervous smile, seeing that he takes care of us and helps us. Nanami, well, at least live a good life, said with a half smile. Nobara, it seems that he takes care of us a lot as if he were an older brother, she said thoughtfully. But everyone was shocked to see how a random sorcerer stabbed Gojo in the heart, where he tried to use his reverse technique, but he couldn't regenerate the heart, and he realized that he couldn't since the cursed weapon prevented him from regenerating, dying while looking at a photo with his students. Yuta, who was it? Said seriously and coldly. Nanami, well, I know Gojo is unbearable, but he doesn't deserve to be killed, said neutrally but somewhat angry. May, tsk, there goes my source of income, she said annoyed. Shoko was silent. She was watching how she lost her last friend she had left. She was sad. Maki, who was the one who killed him? She asked seriously and angry. Me, well, after the fight against Sukuna, the higher-ups were against Gojo teaching and being in the Perry school. Gojo threatened to kill them if they didn't let him teach, I said with a drop of sweat. Megumi, well, knowing Gojo, it's possible he'll do that, said with a drop of sweat. Nobara, but why did they kill him? She asked curiously and confused. Me, well, it's because Gojo has brought several kids who are from a special category, but according to the higher-ups they are dangerous and must be executed, but Gojo along with Yuta and Yuji always defended the kids, but one day when Yuji had a mission in another country, and Yuta had a mission on the outskirts of the city, they told Gojo about a curse in the Tokyo area where he went reluctantly, and well, they ambushed him, I said reading the information. Gojo, another reason to kill them, said annoyed. But at that moment they felt a great murderous instinct along with a thirst for blood, and they saw how Yuji was upset seeing Gojo's corpse, where he told him that the plans were ahead of Yuta. Jean, it seems that this time he is very angry, said with a shiver. Nobara, I've never seen Yuji so angry, she said with a shiver. Megumi, okay, but what plans is Yuji talking about? I asked curiously. Me, well, Yuji, Yuta and Gojo were planning to kill the High Command since the three of them had enough of the High Command and decided to kill them and start a revolution, but when the High Command appeared they realized this, and killed the one they thought gave the idea, I said reading the information. Panda, wait, Gojo wasn't the one with the idea, said confused. Yuki, and who came up with the idea? Asked curiously. Me, Yuji gave the idea to assassinate the top brass, I said seriously. The moment I said that Yuji was the one with the idea, no one believed it. The smiling boy that everyone called Ray of Sunshine gave the idea to assassinate the High Command. Maki, it seems like it's going to rain blood, she said when she saw how Yuji was upset with the higher-ups. But they were incredulous when they saw how Yuji killed them coldly and mercilessly, saying that they did not hesitate to kill their teacher. he would not hesitate to kill them for being such wretched controllers, that every child that their teacher saved was a sorcerer and a friend to them. Kaori, it seems that he hates them a lot, she said when she saw how Yuji killed them quickly and easily. Nanami, it seems that I taught him well, she said when she saw that Yuji was protecting the new kids. Choso, he takes care of them as if he were an older brother, he said when he saw that they didn't care about getting their hands dirty. Me, after Yuji killed the top brass, he began to train and teach future sorcerers along with Yuta and the others, I said while reading the information. Well, let's continue with this, I said looking at the screen. On the screen. Of his power that now will not fail, for the honor of his teacher to lead the sorcerers to victory, that for the curses becomes the final judgment. Because his infernal force exercises brutal damage, leaving mountains of dead who succumb without more. Before his beastly sword there is no worthy rival, because they know that the king of curses does not plan to give in. Outside. It would be seen how there were evil sorcerers saying that they would start a war against the sorcerers by releasing various curses of various categories throughout Tokyo. Bukyo and Tsujanami, where Yuji was the first to go to the front along with Yuta and everyone else, where they went in groups of 2 along with the students, where they killed curses and tried to knock out the evil sorcerers to get information from them later. Nobara, that's me, said with a star in her eyes. Megumi, that's me, said surprised and incredulous. Me, if it's you, I said, to look for information. Well, here we go, I said, calling everyone's attention after Sukuna changed bodies with Megumi and a long internal battle where you tried to take control again. Gojo managed to kill you since it was the only way to kill Sukuna, but thanks to the Mahagara technique he will notice that you were in danger. He lent you his adaptation where you could adapt to Gojo's devastating attack, but Sukuna couldn't, and so killing Sukuna and you having complete control over your shadow Shikigamis, I said reading the information. Megumi, well, it's amazing that I can use the Mahagara adaptation technique, he said impressed and with a small smile. Gojo, I knew they would surpass me, he thought with a happy smile. Nobara, and why do I have a nail gun? Asked confused. Me, well, after you were in a coma for almost a year, Yuji prepared that gift for you since he thought a nail gun would be much more efficient, and he wasn't wrong. I said while reading the information. You can kill special class curses, but you dedicate yourself more to helping others, being a pretty good support. I said to finish reading. Nobara, so I'm not at the front of the battlefield? That's good, she said happily. Maki, it seems that you and I are a team, she said, seeing that she and Nobara are going to Tsujanami. Nanami, it seems that they do their job as teachers well, she said, watching how he taught how to use the curse techniques. Kaori, and my son? I asked curiously and worried. Me, in the new Shibuya looking for information about who the evil sorcerers are, I said calmly. Choso, and why in Shibuya? Asked confused. Me, until I make him talk, I thought with a drop of sweat. Well, after what happened in Shibuya, so many sorcerers, 6 evil sorcerers, decided that it should be a neutral zone where you can't kill and you can sell both information and cursed weapons, I said while looking at my phone. Alvi liked the special questions and answers so much, I thought. Surprising. Gojo, well, that's something surprising that both sides agreed that Shibuya should be a neutral zone, he said surprised. May question, can I sell anything? Asked curiously. Me, if it has to do with witchcraft, you can sell anything, be it a person, blood, weapons, information, as long as it is witchcraft, you can buy or sell it, I said calmly. Well, we are almost done, I said to put the screen. On the screen. With determination on his face, he leapt into the field, his sword in hand, ready to deliver condemnation in front of the sorcerer. He promised to finally take revenge, and now he approaches with Satoru engraved on his sword. Sorcerers who put honor at stake, the clash of their forces will ignite the fire and bathe their weapon with their blood. Just tremble because Ryo's end has come. Because his infernal force exercises brutal damage, leaving mountains of dead who succumb without more. Before his beastly sword there is no worthy rival, because they know that the king of curses does not plan to give in. Outside. It would be seen how Yuji was in front of a man of about 36 years old, where both stared at each other for a few seconds, and Yuji asked him why he did it but got angry when he heard that it was only for easy money, where Yuji quickly went to try to cut his neck, but the man quickly blocked him with his arm covered in green blood. Choso, huh? What is that blood? Asked curious and confused. Me, curse blood. Well, the man as such was born from a human and a curse, I said, reading the information. Choso, like me? Asked confused. Me, no. His mother was a curse and his father a human, and well, I'll go into a little detail about his life, I said to clear my throat. His father was someone brave who participated in the war between Japan and the US, and when he was escaping from the enemy he hid in a cave where he found the curse. It should be noted that the curse was humanoid, meaning it could talk, eat, etc., but well, the boy's father was very injured, so he hid as best he could and tried to rest to regain his strength, but his surprise was great that he was in another place full of bandages and sutures, and just as the curse had arrived. When he saw it, he quickly hid from it, I counted while reading. Nobara, why did she hide? Was she shy? Asked curiously. Me, no, it's not, because her cursed technique makes those who look into her eyes turn into stone statues, killing them instantly. Well, the boy's father was the first human she could look into his eyes without turning him into stone. I briefly told, well, that's all. Go rest and or play. Tomorrow will be a new day, I said as I left the room. Everyone saw me with a drop of sweat for what I did, but some were already hungry, or wanted to drink something, or simply wanted to sleep, as is the case of Shoko, who was sleeping throughout what was seen, so Gojo carefully picked her up and took her to her room. Chapter 3. You could see a room where there were stretchers and medical equipment, where there was a white-haired girl with a large chest in a black dress with a fur coat on her right leg and her black eyes. Tell me again why I have to take care of this brat, she asked, annoyed. Me, because you owe me when I helped you with your brother, I said, tired. But it was nothing out of this world, he said apologetically. Me, he broke my nose while I was trying to calm him down, and almost broke 2 of my ribs, I said, annoyed. It's not that bad, she said nonchalantly. Me, whatever, just take care of him, and don't grape him, I said to leave. It's not like I'm desperate. Annoyed scream. While walking, I watched the security cameras, making sure everything was in order. Me, well, the rooms don't connect, and the idiots won't find the jujutsu ones, I said, thinking now all that's left is to see the other universes that are being created, I said in the air. Well, I'll go see how they're going, I said to go to a room. Meanwhile, the jujutsu students were waking up or eating while others were reading or playing something, but some wanted to continue seeing universes, so they went to the reaction rooms so that the one who brought them would show them another universe. But they saw that there was no one in the room, but suddenly the screen turned on. Screen. Hello, my dear guests. Kaori, excuse me, but why isn't the man from yesterday here? She asked curiously and respectfully. Screen. Right now he's in charge of a good universe. He's always busy, so don't be surprised if he doesn't appear much. Gojo, well, taking care of the universe must be difficult, right? I asked curiously. Nobara, said when seeing a tablet. Who is this? Asked, showing the tablet. Screen. It's from the gentleman. He has a lot of information about the universe there. Gojo, let's see. Lend me, he said to take the tablet from Nobara. It's our lucky day, he said when he saw the unlocked tablet. Let's watch video games apps, he said, searching in videos. He said to open the video app. Maki, Gojo, why don't you leave that where it was? She said, a little angry. Nanami, I'm with Maki. Better leave that, Gojo reproach. Gojo birthday? He said, ignoring everyone. Can we see it? He asked curiously. Screen. Well, why not? Everyone would sweat drop when they saw how the screen accepted almost immediately, but they were also curious to know whose birthday it was. Shoko, well, it's probably Yuji, and maybe we threw him a party or something like that, she said, thinking. Inmaki, fried fish, he said excitedly. Panda, I'm sure there will be cake, said confidently, making Inumaki happier. Screen. Inumaki, the gentleman told me that you could speak normally if you like. Inmaki, Dai said to test. Inmaki, seeing that nothing happened, was a little happy because he could talk calmly with his friends. It was something he always wanted since he was a child, since he could never speak like a normal person. Inumaki, will there be cake? He asked excitedly, making everyone sweat. Screen. In the kitchen in the fridge there is cake if you like. Gojo, too much Naruto, show us what happened that day. said excited and happy. On the screen, Yuji could be seen walking calmly while smoking a cigarette as he wanted to clear his mind since he had those memories again where his brother died protecting him with a smile, how Sukuna had killed his teacher, and how Mahito had killed Nobara along with Nanami. The memories always came back for the only day that he did not want to remember that tragedy. Yuji, never mind, he said to check the time on his phone. Maybe I can play for a while before leaving. He thought out loud. Okay, let's go, he said to keep walking. As he walked, the memories only repeated themselves, like the one of Nanami who told him, "I'll leave the rest to you, Yuji." That hurt him quite a bit. Although he kept his word, the memory wouldn't go away, or like Nobara, "Tell everyone it wasn't that bad." That was another hard blow to his soul and his heart. Although he had his brother to support him, he surely would have died by the hands of Mahito or Yuta since he felt guilty of all those deaths. Outside, "Kaori-san, why do you smoke?" she asked with a tender smile. "Megumi, Yuji is surely dead," said with condolences for Yuji. "Choso, it seems that Shibuya is still affecting him," he said guiltily. "Nobara, I'm going to die," she said worried and with some fear. "Nanami, I decided when I leave I will ask for vacation in advance," he said tired. "Jean, it seems like he only smokes to forget about that moment," said analytically. "Gojo, it's true, he looks like he's about 18 years old," he said looking closely at Yuji. "Shoko, well, the boy doesn't look bad, he seems to be in good health, but he has psychological problems," she said neutrally and analytically. "Anna, I think it was from Mom Shoko's first pregnancy," she said thinking. "Shoji, it's true even though they were always flirting?" said thinking. "May, surely it shouldn't be anything serious," she said calmly and thoughtfully. On the screen, it would be seen how Yuji walked calmly towards his house while trying to think about something other than the events he had suffered, so he continued walking calmly. His thoughts were concentrated on the work of his students, although the thoughts about what he had suffered were quite strong, but he had to maintain the example and move forward. "Yuji, well, the boys are good at ranged attacks and agility," he said thinking maybe they can be sorcerer assassins. Ha ha ha, he laughed at his idea. "Whatever, well, their curse techniques are not very strong, but they make up for it with a lot of cursed energy and flexibility," he said in the air thinking. While Yuji was thinking about how to help his students, a curse had appeared a few blocks away from where Yuji was. He simply continued walking calmly towards where the curse was while smoking his cigarette. "Yuji, wow, she is ugly," said seeing the curse. The curse had a large mouth with sharp teeth, white eyes with red and what looked like tentacles coming out of its head. "Yuji, well, maximum effort said to go against the curse." Outside, Gojo, wow, Yuji seems pretty tired, said worried about his student. "Nobara, it seems that our deaths affected him," she said worried. "Megumi, what are you talking about? Did you go crazy or what?" asked confused. Screen. It is because after the fight between Sukuna and Yuji, he won the battle and they were labeled terrorists by the Japanese and American governments. After a year, the boys managed to prove their innocence, but they have to teach the new ones. "Gojo, seriously? One of my students is a teacher," said happy and excited. "Nobara, and is he a good teacher?" I asked curiously. Screen. "One of the best teachers and the strongest today along with Yuta." "Yuta, really? Wow," he said embarrassed. "Kaori, that's my son, damn it," she said happy and excited. "Megumi, I just hope he's not as stupid as Gojo," said neutral, hurting Gojo. "Geto, one question, is he racist?" asked curiously. Screen. "He hates black people, well, only a few. Many would sweat for knowing that Yuji was racist, but he should have his reasons," some thought, but they also saw how a curse appeared and Yuji walked calmly while he finished smoking his cigarette. "May, a question, where am I?" I asked curiously. "Shoko, and where am I?" I asked curiously. "Nobara, how ugly the curse is," she said when she saw the curse. Screen. "Well, the first questions will be answered in a few minutes, just watch and you'll see." On the screen, Yuji was walking calmly towards the curse where there were some sorcerers who were trying to kill the curse, but it was complicated for them since they still did not know how to kill or eliminate them. "Yuji, wow, she's really ugly, he said to put a hand on the curse's shoulder. Yuji touched the curse and it was split into several small squares as he finished his cigarette and continued his way calmly while he lit another cigarette and went home, while the new sorcerers looked at him with disbelief and some fear since he had killed a first-degree curse as if it were something so easy. Yuji. Well, it was good to combine Sukuna's dismantling with mine, he said, looking at his hand. Now they are cuts that break the soul and much more powerful, he said with a sideways smile. I wonder if the girls have left me food, he said in the air. Yuji continued his way calmly while smoking his new cigarette while being watched by some people as he had a scar on the corner of his right lip along with a cut that ran from his left eye to his right cheek. Some thought he was a criminal. Others thought he got those wounds at work, but Yuji cared little and nothing. He simply continued on his way to his new home. Outside. Nanami, that was fast, said impressed. Gojo, so you already have Sukuna's dismantling engraved on your body. How, he said, surprised and proud. Nobara, he really likes to smoke, said with a drop of sweat. Anna, well, Dad always liked to smoke, she said with a drop of sweat. Shoji, don't forget that he's also an alcoholic thanks to Mom Yudaheim, he said with a nervous smile. Zack, well, my parents are also alcoholics, he said with a straight face. Yuta, yeah. I couldn't drink even if I wanted to, said nervously. Shoji, well, they spend a lot of time together, he said a little nervously. Maki, one question, how is our relationship? Asked curiously. Zack, well, they get along well, they both respect each other and love each other very much, and at night, well, it's different, he said a little nervously. Yuta, what happens at night? Asked worried. Zack, well, Mom is a sleepwalker and hits Dad a lot, he said nervously. Shoji, and that's without even mentioning Aunt Rika, he said remembering. Geto, the Shikigami? Asked confused. Zack, well, after certain events Rika returned to normal, he said a little nervous. Yuta, and what is Rika like? I asked curiously and somewhat nervous. Zack, well, she's possessive, controlling, jealous, yandere, and possibly abusive, he said counting with his fingers. Gojo, they are those crazy ones, he said with fear. Shoji, I love those, said funny and somewhat flirtatious. On the screen, it would be seen how Yuji would arrive at his house, while he put out his cigarette and entered the house and was going to sit on the sofa, but then he sees Shoko and Mei and Yudaheim with a strap that Shoko had and also that Yudaheim had cat ears and a tail, confusing Yuji. Yuji, I have more questions than answers, he said confused. Shoko, Yudaheim and Mei went on a mission to kill a curse, and it seems that the curse turned people into animals, and well, Yudaheim was only partially affected, she said with a drop of sweat. Yuji, she looks cute and hexy, he thought while blushing. If I throw her off the roof, does she land on her feet or on all fours? He thought curiously. Shoko and Mei, she is thinking about something stupid, they thought with a drop of sweat. Mei, well, I'll go replace Yudaheim. You take care of her, okay? She said in a flirtatious tone. Yuji, and Shoko can't take care of her? And why is her thighs open? Asked confused. Shoko, I would, but by becoming a semi-cat, she said confused. Apparently it has cat hair and I'm allergic to cat hair, she said to sneeze. Mei, and about her thighs, well, she scratches herself a lot there, so that's why we're going to open that part, she said calmly. Yuji, well, looking better, you have a runny nose and red eyes, and it seems that your throat is swollen, he said, looking closely at Shoko. And about your thigh, well, I don't know what to say, he said with a nervous smile. Mei, wow, it seems that the medicine classes are going well for you, honey, she said in a flirtatious tone. Yuji, I still don't know how to take the fever with my hand, he thought nervously. Outside. Gojo, oh yes, it's little Shoko's house, said amused. Nobara, okay, lots of questions, few answers, said seeing the situation. Geto, a curse that turns people into animals, said interested. Yuta, what would Maki look like with kitten or puppy ears, thought imagining. Mei, and what do I do with the girls? I asked curiously. Screen. Well, you are Yuji's partner along with Shoko and Yudaheim. Gojo and Geto, what? How did that happen? They said incredulously. Screen. Well, the first was Shoko, since both Shoko and Itadori were falling into depression, and one of them almost took his own life, so they both started going out either to shop, play, watch movies, etc., and well, they fell in love. Then Mei wanted to sell Yuji, but something happened, and well, after a few dates she fell in love with Yuji and vice versa, plus Shoko allowed it, and the last was Yutahime, although she was different. Mei said, thinking. Megumi. Well, Yuji likes them tall and with a nice, but he said thoughtfully. Gojo. So Yutahime is a cradle robber or Yuji is a grave robber? It's one of two, said Funny. Geto. I still don't believe that a child dates adults unless the girls are pedophiles, but he fell silent after receiving a shock blow. Ouch, he said, rubbing himself. Shoko. First of all, I'm not a pedophile, and if I want to go out with Yuji, it's not your problem, she said, a little angry. Megumi. Can you repeat the last thing? Shoko. Wow, I already screwed up, right? She asked nervously. Nobara, are you telling me she's dating Yuji? Don't get me wrong, but that's a potato face, she said incredulously. Mei, I never thought that little Shoko would like minors, she said, funny and flirtatious. Maki. Well, it's amazing that Yuji is dating Shoko, she said, impressed. Panda. I agree, said amused. Maki. Well, who are we to judge Yuji's good tastes? He said so they would look at him strangely. That Shoko is beautiful, he said, confused. On the screen. Yuji. Well, you two go calmly, I'll take care of Yutahime in some way, he said a little nervously. Shoko. Okay, here you go, said, giving the strap to Yuji. Yuji. I'm surprised that Yutahime didn't speak, said, somewhat surprised. Yutahime. Even though I hate it, this is the best, Naya said, so Yuji would go blank. Yuji, said Naya, said incredulously and blushing. Well, you guys go calmly and I'll see how I take care of this kid, and said something flirtatious. Mei. Thanks, darling, she said flirtatiously, giving Yuji a kiss. Shoko. See you, Yuji, and I would give you a kiss, but I might infect you, so better safe than sorry, she said, blowing her nose. While the girls were leaving, Yuji was thinking about how to do things without letting go of Yutahime, since it would be a bad thing if a curse were to attack her, and he didn't know if he could react and know what is wrong and what is right. Yuji. Well, are we going to watch TV? I asked curiously. Yutahime. As long as I can be with you, it's okay, Naya said happily. Yuji. Did he take it? He thought, confused. Outside. Yuta. Well, this is strange, he said nervously. Anna. I'm still surprised that Dad didn't throw her off the roof. I would have done it right away, she said amused. Gojo. There are two of us, said Funny. Geto. That was very strange, said in disbelief. Nanami. Are you talking about Mei kissing Yuji or about Yutahime being happy? I asked curiously. Geto. Both, said in disbelief. Choso and Wawawawa said happily. Nobara. I can't believe that Yuji is dating Shoko. Could it be that he was also dating Yutahime? She said incredulously. Megumi. It could be, he said thoughtfully. Choso. Well, I'm happy for my little brother, but get Yuki off of me, he said while breathing heavily. Yuki was lying on top of Choso. Although Choso was strong, he could barely breathe since Yuki was strangling him with his arms, preventing him from breathing properly. Geto. I would, but I'm lazy, Susanoo said Funny. Gojo. I would, but I don't know who you are, so that will keep you at bay just in case, he said amused and thoughtful. Nanami. I would if I could, but Yuki always increases her weight when we try to lift her, said Neutral. On the screen. Yuji simply sat on the couch with Yutahime 6. They started watching a baseball game, since although it was not his favorite sport, he liked it. He also liked watching the game with Yutahime, but Yutahime simply rested her head on Yuji's lap, confusing him a little, but he thought it was some kind of cat obsession. But Yuji, looking at her out of the corner of his eye, looked like she was giving him a blowjob, since every time she celebrated, she wagged her tail and raised her head and lowered it quickly. Yuji, is that normal for cats? Thought confused. Yuji thinks about the Bible, said while trying not to get excited. But it seemed that fate was against him, or in his favor, since Yutahime saw him with a mischievous smile, making Yuji have a bad feeling, and he was not wrong since Yutahime had unbuttoned Yuji's pants without him realizing it, and apparently Yuji's head got very big because of what his beloved was doing, where Yutahime began to give him a blowjob while Yuji tried to stifle his moans, but Yudaheim wrapped her tongue around Yuji's member while sucking it. Yudaheim, happy birthday Yuji Naya, she said flirtatiously while sitting on Yuji's lap. Yuji, and my birthday was a week ago, he thought as he watched Yudaheim take off the top of her suit. Outside. Gojo, oh no, this can't be good, said with a shiver. Nobara, well, so far everything is normal, she said uneasily. Nanami, now everything went to shit, said Neutral. May, wow, that boy is really big, she said blushing and flirtatious. Gojo, that's my student, he said proudly and confused. Megumi, in conclusion we are watching a porn, said Neutral but embarrassed. Nobara, wow, she said blushing and embarrassed. Shoko, said while smoking her cigarette. Geto, I always thought that Yudaheim would be with Gojo, said in disbelief. Gojo, why would I be with a weakling like Yudam? Asked confused but mockingly. Choso, help! He said almost choking. Maki, and the children? I asked confused. But Maki saw in the corner how the boys were playing tag with some stuffed animals and that Choso, was a coach, causing her some amusement. Choso, and Wawa said happily. Yuda and Anna? Asked worried about the girl. Anna, here helping Uncle Choso, she said to move. Yuki, can you go out? She asked, straining to carry Yuki. Choso managed to get out from under Yuki while breathing heavily since he still hadn't recovered all the air he lost from being drowned by Yuki. Maki, there's salmon, said embarrassedly covering his eyes. Nobara, why Yuji really likes that, she said embarrassed when she saw that Yudaheim was wearing a black lace bra. Gojo, I decided to promote him to a special class, he said proudly of his student. Megumi, well, it's a pretty good gift for him, but it arrived late, said mockingly but neutrally. Screen. That's all, you can go rest now, I'll look for what you'll see next. Everyone did as they slowly left as the lights in the room slowly went out, leaving the room almost empty if it weren't for Yuki who was sleeping. Chapter 4. You could see the reaction room almost empty since Gojo was already arriving along with Geto to talk about some things, either about what they did since they took opposite paths and were enemies. Geto, well, that's a little bit of what I did, said in a funny tone. Gojo, ha 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 ha, you really fooled an old man, ha ha, laughed amused. Geto, Gojo, I wanted to talk but Gojo silenced me. Gojo, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, my friend, he said to hug him. I'm sorry for not noticing, he said to sigh. Gojo simply separated from the hug and went to the living room and went to the kitchen while humming a catchy song while being watched by Geto with some pity since he knew that he had died. He knew that even if he showed that stupid and happy side, Gojo was sad and devastated after what had happened. Me, he looks pretty happy, don't you think? I said amused. Geto, does he seem happy to you? I asked a little sad. Me, well, since you've been here, I've noticed that he's happier, he said calmly. Well, call the others and we'll react, I said as I left the room. Geto looked at me for a few seconds with displeasure, but simply sighed heavily, and went to look for the others while I went to the infirmary to look for the last guest so we could react. Me, so you're waking up, huh, Yuji? I said amused, watching Yuji who is getting up. Yuji, ugh, where am I? Asked confused. Me, you're in my infirmary, I said while taking a small bag. Yuji, I was with Sukuna, he said looking at his hands. I had killed him, he said as tears came out. I avenged them, he said with a shaky smile. Me, yes, Yuji, you avenged them. Well, first get changed and then go to the reaction room, I said so a boy would appear. The boy was wearing a tank top, and on top he had a sweater along with a jacket. He had some military pants along with some boots, and he was carrying a rifle case. What the hell did you call me for? I asked annoyed. Me, help dress my guest of honor, I said calmly while playing with an apple. Save your stupidity. Because of someone we have to fix a bucking universe, he said tired and annoyed. Me, and what universe would that be? I asked curiously. I don't know, it's a broken universe that's wandering around, he said while holding his head. Me, okay, let's do something. I'll fix that universe and you help him, I said while grabbing the apple and breaking it. What's the trick? I asked suspiciously. Me, there is no trick, just help him and I will help you, I said without importance. Well, I'll help him, he said tiredly. Me, okay, I'll be waiting for you in the reaction room. Yuji is the one in the back on the left, I said to leave. Yuji looked at the boy with some surprise and distrust, but for now he saw his clothes and realized that he was a mess. His pants had several cuts and his jacket along with his shirt and sweatshirt were completely destroyed. On the left side it was torn like a square, remembering that was where Susanoo used his dismantle that almost killed him if it weren't for the reverse technique, and on his back he had a hole from when Susanoo threw him into the air. Yuji, I'm a mess, he said looking at his hands. Anyway, go take a shower and I'll get you some clothes. The shower is on the right, he said as he left. Yuji simply snorted in exhaustion and got up to go take a quiet bath since he needed to process everything that was happening and what happened. While Yuji was getting ready to go take a bath, I was wondering what universe the Jujutsu people could see. Me, what could I show you? I asked in the air, Yuji being confused and thoughtful. Sir, why don't you show him something more peaceful? She said tiredly. What said that was a girl dressed in a suit, a white shirt with a vest and a tie and her pants matching the suit. Me, tell me something calmly? Asked curiously. I don't know about the Master Chief or the Doom Slayer, she said thoughtfully. Me, maybe I said thoughtfully. Yes, why not, I said accepting the idea. Really? She said excitedly. I didn't think he would accept my idea, she said incredulously. Me, well, I think it's a good idea and I think some people will like it a lot, I said looking at the tablet. While the outfit she chose suits her well for today's reaction, I said while I saw how the boy left her a military outfit. Okay boss, I'll leave you, he said as he walked away. Me, see you, I said going to the reaction room while looking at my phone. Well, this is one of my favorite raps, so it goes hand in hand with what we're going to do, I said while playing the rap in question. After walking a few steps, I entered the reaction room where there were some jujutsu waiting to see something interesting or that they liked, but a portal opened from the ceiling where 2 more people came out, making me sigh. Me, great, more people, thought with some annoyance. Who are they? I said approaching the people. Yudaheim and all. I don't think it's bad to have them, I said unimportant. Shoko, when did I get there? She asked somewhat surprised. Me, magic Pokemon, I said funny. Nobara, teleportation? Said confused. Me, yes, I basically teleported, I said to be back in front of the screen. After that the rest of those who were missing entered calmly, either eating or drinking some soda or juice, and sat in their respective places and saw me, but then the door opened causing some to be surprised since it was Yuji. He had some scratches, but what surprised them the most was his outfit. It was military pants along with boots, a tank top, the suit of some military team, a long-sleeved jacket, and on top of that an armored vest. Me, hi Yuji, how does your suit feel? I asked curiously. Yuji, pretty comfortable, but I needed all the military equipment he gave me, he said showing an M4, a knife he had to draw on his chest, and a classic 1911. Me, well, it matches what we're going to see, but don't worry, nothing will happen if you shoot by accident, or just because, I said nonchalantly. Megumi, wait, you're telling me that weapon is real? He said surprised but with some fear. Yuji saw that in the room were his friends, his teachers, all of whom he had lost in the battle against Susanoo. It was a dream come true for him since all he wanted was to see them one last time. Yuji approached Nanami and hugged him with all his strength, thinking that if he let go he would leave. After a few minutes, Yuji went to hug Gojo, who accepted him with pleasure while he was watched by the others, confused but curious. After a few minutes, he went to hug his friends, who were surprised and accepted him, but after a few minutes, Yuji let them go and stared at Megumi for a few seconds and simply sighed and began to hit him. Megumi, Yuji! Now what the hell is wrong with you? He said, blocking some blows with pain. Yuji, if I tell you to come or wake up, just listen to me, you bucking imbecile, he said, hitting with a little more force. Yuji, after hitting Megumi quite a bit, went after Yuta, who was confused and ran away while Yuji chased him with the weapon to give them some good hits, confusing everyone. Gojo, why is Yuji hitting the boys? Asked confused. Me, things in the future, nothing serious, I said, downplaying it. Maki, well, it seems that what happened bothered Yuji a lot, she said, watching Yuji hit Yuta. Yuji, Yuta, next time you do something like that, let me know, Bastard, he said, giving him one last hit. I'm much better, he said, more relieved. Me. Well, let's start with this, I said, so everyone could look at me. What you will see is a universe that takes place in the future. Maki. Will there be action? Asked curiously. Me. Yes, there is action, so there is no romance or drama. Well, right now we will only see a little, maybe later we will see more about this world, I said, thinking. Yudaheim. Ugh, where am I? She asked, confused as she opened her eyes. Me, you're in a movie theater, don't worry, I said nonchalantly while putting on the video. On the screen, a rock melody could be heard as images of what looked like some futuristic laboratory played. Fight like hell. Fight like hell. Fight like hell. Fight like hell. Outside. Maki, fights like hell? Asked confused. Megumi, can you give us more information? I asked curiously. Me, well, it's a bit long, but here it goes. Yuji Itadori was a United States Marine, I said, briefly telling. Kaori, my son is a soldier, she said, surprised and with some fear. Me, yes and no. Well, one day while patrolling some streets they found some people who had gone over the curfew, he said thoughtfully. Gojo, is there a curfew in the United States? I asked confused. Nanami, not that I remember, said thoughtfully. Me, well, I'm showing a universe that happens quite a long time in the future. 6. Thanks to a certain company they started putting a curfew, I said calmly. Yuda, fine, but what happened to the pedestrians? I asked curiously. Me, well, Yuji along with his squad and his superior were in charge of watching the streets, and they found the pedestrians, and seeing that they simply got lost, Yuji thought that they could let them go, but his superior ordered them to kill the pedestrians, I said seriously. Nobara, really? Said annoyed. Just for getting lost they're going to kill you? Said angrily. Megumi, it's something very extreme because they didn't give him a fine or something like that, I asked confused. Me, I really don't know, I said with a drop of sweat. Well, no one agreed, but the oldest told Yuji to do it. 6. While Yuji hit his oldest, fracturing his skull and saying it was his fault for letting the pedestrians go, I said, relieving everyone. Shoko, and what happened next? Asked curiously. Me, well, after that he was suspended from his activities and sent to be a guard in some laboratories on Mars, I said, remembering. Megumi, really? Said annoyed. He just did the right thing, said frowning. Me, well, he hit his elder and he didn't obey, but the head of the base told him that he did the right thing, but he had to make him retaliate, I said, sighing. Megumi, well, even though he did the right thing, he hit someone important, so it's understandable, he said, sighing a little more calmly. Nobara, well, what happened next? Asked curiously. Me, that's what we'll see, I said to continue the video. On the screen. Beware what lies beneath your feet, this hollow ground, where demons sleep. I will uproot these evil seeds and use my fists to keep the peace, I told them one day. I'd become the most powerful being across the dimensions, and they told me to go to hell, so you know what? I did. Beware what lies beneath your feet, this hollow ground, where the demons sleep. I will tear out these evil seeds and use my fists to keep the peace. I told them one day I would become the most powerful being in all dimensions, and they told me to go to hell. Then you know what? I did it. Outside. Gojo, huh? I don't understand, he said confused. Maki, is he in a cave? Asked confused. Megumi, who will become the most powerful being? Asked confused. Yuda, and he will use his fists to keep the peace? Well, sorcerers do that, he said with a drop of sweat. Maki, demons? Asked confused. Gojo, the most powerful being in the universe? PFF, I want to see if he can beat me, he said mockingly. Me, boy, he could easily kill you, I thought, amused. Geto, go to hell? Well, there will always be someone like that, he thought with a drop of sweat. Jean, wait, how did he do it? Asked confused. Me, just look at the screen, I said, funny. On the screen. And that might sound ludicrous, but that's the truth, and I'll prove it. Hitch, welcome to hell, I'm moving in. Someone tell the devil I'm gonna room with him. Have you ever heard of a crucifix? Nothing but a couple of useless sticks. I don't need your hokey holy Bible bogus, homie. And that may sound ridiculous, but that's the truth, and I'll prove it. Hitch. Welcome to hell, I'm moving in. Somebody tell the devil I'm gonna share a room with him. Ever heard of a crucifix? Nothing but a couple of useless sticks. I don't need your fake holy Bible, dude. Outside. To do, ugh, what happened? Asked confused. Me, nothing serious. They're just seeing different dimensions of Yuji, I said so that To-do's eyes shine. To-do, we'll see my brother. Great. Said excitedly. Nobara, yes, it sounds ridiculous, said with some mockery. But they saw how Yuji went into a room and a demon appeared, and with a simple blow he pinned him against the wall, and ripped out his skull along with his spine and used it to kill a demon that was behind him. Ghetto, that was a bit extreme, said a bit nervous. Yuta, that was cruel and sadistic, said with fear. Me, I'll tell you why it's like that later, I said a little nervously. Yutaheim, I know I'm just starting to see this, but why does it say that crucifixes and Bibles are just sticks and that the Bible is useless? I asked confused. Nobara, tell the devil that they will share a room, said with a drop of sweat. Me, well, after he was sent to Mars to the base where he is a security guard, something happened, I said a little nervously. Yuta, first, what are they doing on Mars? And second, what happened? I asked curiously. Me, I'm sure I forgot that part. Well, what they did on Mars is that they had discovered a pretty good and powerful source of energy, I said calmly. Ghetto, and how powerful is that energy? I asked curiously. Me, if I remember correctly, a small part of that energy could sustain a city for 50 years or so, I said, remembering. Maki, well, it must surely be on Mars if the base is there, said with a drop of sweat. Megumi, okay, so what happened? Asked curiously. Me, well, they found ruins of an ancient civilization that was on Mars 6. They decided to see what they had and they used the Argent energy, which according to a mural, that's what that energy was called. But well, I said to Sai, they opened a portal to hell, I said, so everyone would look at me. Shoko, I don't understand, he said confused. Me, it is because the ancient civilization made a deal with other beings where they promised them something if they created some portals and they accepted, but not knowing where the portal would go, the worst happened, but they closed the portal, killing the demons, I finished telling. Sorry if I'm telling it wrong. Yutaheim, well, they opened a portal to hell, now what will happen? I asked with some fear. Me, okay, keep watching, I said to press play. On the screen. Because I'm through with it. Do you think that this suit will fit? Thank God, let me start shooting shit, lots of power in the Argent Tower, and everybody here is abus in it. When I go to work, I might go berserk. It all depends what kind of mood I'm in. Get you with a chainsaw, rip your jaw right off. 'Cause I'm done with this. You think this suit'll fit you? Thank God, let me start shooting shit, a lot of power in the Argent Tower, and everyone here's abusing it. When I go to work, I might go crazy. It all depends on what mood I'm in. I'll get you with a chainsaw, rip your jaw off. Outside. Gojo, oh, is it a space suit? Asked excitedly with stars in his eyes. Me, yes, it is a very versatile suit, I said with an excited smile. Yuta, well, how did you get it? I asked excitedly. Me, well, that was their uniform, I think, but after finding a civilization that is in charge of keeping the demons from going to Earth, they improved it quite a bit, I said, and thought something doubtful. Nobara, you don't remember, right? She asked mockingly. Me, I don't remember much, I said with a depressive aura. May, it seems that he is excited to start a massacre, she said a little nervous. To do, what is the Argent Tower? I asked curiously. Me, I don't remember much, I think it was to open a portal or something like that, I said confused. Nanami, wow, it seems that Yuji is very violent, she said, watching how Yuji killed the demons with his hands or dismembered them with a chainsaw. Gojo, but why does he seem to hate demons? I know it's for survival, but Yuji is being very cruel, he said with a drop of sweat. On the screen. Snap your neck with a brutal kick. Carnage, isn't it gratuitous? I got the cleanup crews like, who did this? What's the matter? Are you new to this? Let me choose your fate, doom it is. They told me I could rule the world when hell was frozen over. Hold up, is it just me? Or did it just get colder? Colder. Break your neck with a brutal kick, carnage, isn't it free? The cleanup crews asked me, who did this? What's wrong? Are you new to this? Let me choose your fate. It's doom. I was told I could rule the world when hell was frozen over. Wait, is it just me? Or did it just get colder? Colder. Outside. Nanami, apparently he's good at killing demons, said neutrally, watching how Yuji killed the demons with ease. Megumi, poor cleaning crews, said with regret, seeing all of Yuji's destruction. Nobara, I don't think it's a good idea for Yuji to rule, she said mockingly. Gojo, that joke was really bad, said with a drop of sweat. On the screen. You have nowhere to go, abandon all hope. You have nowhere to hide from the monster inside. I know my demons all too well. Nothing left to do but fight like hell. 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 You've got nowhere to go, give up all hope. You've got nowhere to hide from the monster inside. I know my demons all too well. There's nothing left to do but fight like hell. Fight like hell, fight like hell, fight like hell, fight like hell. Outside. Gojo, well, considering what that version of Yuji is like, I doubt they have any hope left, he said with a drop of sweat. Nobara, I'm now understanding why he says he fights like hell, she said a little nervously, seeing how Yuji just killed non-stop. Nanami, how much should they have paid Yuji? Said curiously. Me, he's doing it for free, I said with a straight face. May, but it must have several valuable things, she said somewhat interested. Me, well, right now the suit that Yuji is wearing can absorb Argent energy that allows him to heal and stay at 100%, meaning he no longer needs to sleep or eat thanks to his suit, I briefly told. Kaori, do you have any hobbies? I asked curiously. Me, so he likes to read, play guitar and listen to rock, I said, playing I1. I said happy to do. And does he have any love interest, or how does he like girls? I asked curiously. Me, it is not known that he only has one mission, to kill all the demons, I said seriously. Yuta, well, he doesn't have a defined fighting style, but said, watching how Yuji broke the demon's ribs with one blow. His blows are strong, he said with some fear. Geto, I never thought hell would be like this. I mean, because there are several types of demons? I asked curiously. Me, it depends on what kind of sins you have committed and how much silver energy you give off, I said thoughtfully. Nobara, well, surely his story is extensive, right? I asked curiously. Me, yes, and we will see that later, since it would be very extensive, I said with a drop of sweat. On the screen. It's in my nature, call me Buffy, because I'm a slayer. And I'm slaying well when I'm raising hell. Better keep your distance, it'll make you safer. My shotgun's gonna turn you to vapor. Then I'll make this station a vacant crater. I'm a Terminator when I wear my Predator, sending every demon to meet their maker. You could say that I'm on peace with Vader. Compared to him, my dark side is greater. Somebody tell Satan, say your prayers. Make sure his obituary's put on paper. Whether you're Baptist, Catholic, Methodist, none of that matters, abandon your testament. It's in my nature, call me Buffy, 'cause I'm a slayer. And I'm killing good when I'm raising hell. Better keep your distance, it'll make you safer. My shotgun will turn you into vapor, then I'll make this station an empty crater. I'm a Terminator. When I use my Predator, send every demon to meet their maker. You could say I'm on pace with Vader compared to him. My dark side is greater. Somebody tell Satan, say his prayers. Make sure his obituary is written. If you're Baptist, Catholic, or Methodist, none of that matters, give up your will. Outside. Gojo, who the buck is Buffy? Asked confused. Me, I have no idea, I said, downplaying it. Yudaheim, well, I know, I just saw this but it's scary, she said, a little scared. Shoko, wow, he's really asleep, she said, caressing Yuji's head. Nanami, how can he sleep so deeply? Asked confused. Me, well, after the fight against Sukuna, Yuji reached the extreme and exhausted all his energy. He was basically knocked out, but he could only recover a little energy to come here. Plus he was only knocked out for 2 hours and worried about Sukuna coming back, I said calmly, and thought with some guilt. Kaori, seriously, He hates religions, said with a drop of sweat. Me, it's not that I hate them, but at no time did any angel or god appear to help them, since humanity was divided into two sides, those who supported the demons and those who supported God and the warriors. I said seriously, but we'll talk about that later, I said, so they don't ask me. On the screen. Bludgeoning barons, wrecking the revenants. Sever the head, and mess up what's left of it. I'm seeing red, forget about etiquette. Desecrate every devilish nemesis. I'll cut you in half, so you'd better split. You'll end up like the rest of these skeletons. Bronzing barons, destroying the revenants, cut off the head and ruin what's left of it. I'm looking red, forget the label, desecrate every diabolical nemesis. I'll cut you in half, so you better split up. You'll end up like the rest of these skeletons. Outside. Jean, who are the barons? Asked curiously. Me, people who betrayed someone that we will see in the future, and I don't remember how it was, I said seriously, and he thought with sadness. Nobara, well, he does a great job killing those filth. Has he killed Mahito yet? I asked curiously. Me, it can't be, I said thoughtfully. Yuta, that desecrate thing sounds bad, but he splits them in half very easily, said a little nervously. Gojo, it seems like it's something pious, said amused. Nanami, I don't think it's mercy, said with pity for the demons. Megumi, it's just mockery towards demons, said neutral. Nobara, until you speak, she said mockingly. Megumi, I simply fell asleep next to Yuki 6, the pale one there, said, pointing to an area where there were several sleeping people. Shoko, wow, there's Kuzukabe there too, along with Yayui, and who's the one in the suit? I asked confused. Me, and when did they appear? I thought, confused. A new sorcerer who will appear in the future, I said, downplaying it. Geto, it seems that he has no respect for the dead, said something annoyed. Me, well, there's not much to do if you have to leave quickly, I said with a drop of sweat. On the screen. Fleshy vessels to hellish developments. I won't let them in, I will never quit. Pushing back this infectious malevolence. So all of your respect you better give. Cause in hell, I'm a veteran resident. You have nowhere to go, abandon all hope. You have nowhere to hide from the monster inside. I know my demons all too well. Nothing left to do but fight like hell. Fleshy vessels towards hellish developments, I won't let them in. I'll never let them in, pushing back this contagious malevolence, so you better give it all your respect. Cause in hell, I'm a veteran resident, you've got nowhere to go. Abandon all hope, you've got nowhere to hide from the monster within. I know my demons all too well, there's nothing left to do but fight like hell. Outside. Yuta, huh? What do you mean he's a veteran resident? Asked confused. Me, well, Yuji entered hell and started killing all the demons, and since time passes differently in hell, he has been killing demons for about 130 or 150 years, I said, remembering. Gojo, even though he's old, he's very well taken care of, Yuji said mockingly. Nobara, looks like he took a lot of steroids, said mockingly. Yuji, die cow, said hugging sleeping Shoko. Geto, why do you want a cow to die? Asked confused. Shoko, he is vabinophobic, said with a calm smile. Nanami, and that means? I asked confused. Shoko, who is afraid of cows, said stroking Yuji's hair. Gojo, pff jaj, laughed amused. Nobara, ha 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 ha, she's afraid of cows, ha 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 ha, said crying with laughter. Yuta, well, there will always be a lot of people who are afraid of something, he said nervously. Maki, it's incredible, she said, watching how Yuji cruelly and sadistically killed the demons. On the screen. Fight like hell. Fight like hell. Fight like hell. Fight like hell. Beware what lies beneath your feet. This hollow ground, where demons sleep. I will uproot these evil seeds. And use my fists to keep the peace. I told them one day. I'd become the most powerful being across the dimensions. And they told me to go to hell. So you know what? I did. Fight like hell, fight like hell, fight like hell, fight like hell. Beware what lies beneath your feet, this hollow ground, Where the demons sleep, I'll tear out these evil seeds and I use my fists to keep the peace. I told them one day I would become the most powerful being in all dimensions and they told me to go to hell. Then you know what? I did it. Outside. Gojo, okay, now this makes more sense, he said, listening to the beginning. Nobara, well, if hell exists, could it come to our world? Asked curiously. Me, maybe yes, maybe not, I really don't know, I said, shrugging my shoulders. Yuta, well, now we know why he said the demons are below us but not that they were on Mars. Asked confused. Geto, I think he means that demons will always be in hell, he said thoughtfully. Me, okay, let's see the latest and you can go to rest, I said to put the screen. On the screen. Beware what lies beneath your feet. This hollow ground, where demons sleep. I will uproot these evil seeds. And use my fists to keep the peace. Flesh and bone, the creatures feed. Lock and load my BFG. Light them up like TNT. Just don't let them see you bleed. And in these troubled times, don't you lose sight of yourself. There's nothing left for you to do but fight like hell. Beware what lies beneath your feet, this hollow ground, where demons sleep. I'll pluck out these evil seeds and use my fists to keep the peace. Flesh and bone. The creatures feed, lock and load my BFG, light 'em up like TNT. Just don't let 'em see you bleed, and in these trying times don't let them lose sight of you. There's nothing left for you to do but fight like hell. Outside. Yuta, what does BFG mean? I asked confused. Me, big bucking gun, I said with an excited smile. Shoko, big bucking gun? Asked confused. Me, well, I sound better in English, I said with a drop of sweat. Nobara, and what does that weapon do? I asked confused. Me, what it does is that it launches a high-powered shot that transfers that energy to the demons that can destroy both organs, and I think it is very possible that it will give you cancer since it uses nuclear energy. I think I said something doubtful. Gojo, what the buck? He said, confused and a little scared. Everyone would see how a giant demon tore off Yuji's legs, but he only let out a moan of pain. But even split in half, Yuji killed the demon without problems and regenerated his legs as if nothing happened, to take the pants off his old legs and put them back on to shoot the demon again. Nobara, wow, she said, blushing, seeing how the bottom part showed everything. Yutaheim, that's very indecent, she said, very red and embarrassed. Me, sorry, I share the screen with other rooms, I said, embarrassed. I didn't think Mei would fall asleep quickly, I said, seeing how Mei was asleep. Yuta, I don't want to know why you share them, but you're right, you shouldn't lose sight of your goals and dreams, he said with a nervous smile, thinking that he sounded ridiculous. Me, I couldn't have said it better, damn it, I said, funny. Yuta, wait, what did you say? I asked while ignoring him. On the screen. You have nowhere to go, abandon all hope. You have nowhere to hide from the monster inside. I know my demons all too well. Nothing left to do but fight like hell. Fight like hell. You've got nowhere to go, give up all hope. You've got nowhere to hide from the monster inside. I know my demons all too well. There's nothing left to do but fight like hell, fight like hell. Outside. Nanami. Well, there were doubts after hearing this song, she said, thinking about everything she heard. Nobara, well, what happened next? Asked curiously. Me, well, what follows was someone's fault in particular, I said, something annoyed. Yuta, question, are there more versions of it? I mean, the one we're seeing? Asked curiously. Me, I don't know, there are many theories that hell is infinite so you can meet your past or future self, but as I said, they are just theories, I said, shrugging. Yuji, well, why yawn while stretching lazily? Well, what did you see? He asked, rubbing his eyes. Me, don't worry, I'll give you a summary report later, so I'll leave you free, I said to leave. Those who were awake helped the sleeping ones get up or carried them to their rooms, and after a few minutes the room was empty. Chapter 5. You could see the reaction room almost empty since Yuji was sitting meditating and thinking about what he saw yesterday, or well, listening since he still felt quite sleepy and couldn't see what the screen showed them, but thanks to the host who already knew what they saw. Me, and that would be all said to get up. Well, today I will show you something else, I said, so that Yuji would see me confused. Yuji, and what will you show us? I asked curiously. Me, well, today I will show you a different universe and then some comedy, since you asked me, I said calmly and thought a little nervously. Yuji, and what will this new universe be about? I asked curiously. Me, if I tell you, it loses its charm, I said funny. After that, Yuji simply went to the kitchen to see what he could eat or drink since his stomach was screaming for it. He searched the kitchen, finding monsters, sodas, juices, etc., along with various foods, both from his country and from others. Yuji simply grabbed some pizzas with eggs and a glass soda and began to eat calmly while thinking about everything that happened. He was so immersed in his thoughts that he didn't realize there was a person next to him. Shoko, how are you, Yuji? She asked calmly while watching him eat. Yuji, Shoko, I didn't see you come in, he said, swallowing his food. Shoko, don't worry, you must be hungry, and you must be thinking about everything you heard, she said calmly as she leaned back in the chair. Yuji, yes, I'm quite hungry and well, I still don't think I have several versions of myself, he said with a nervous smile. Shoko, besides, you had Hex with Yudaheim said so Yuji would choke. Yuji, what did I do what? Said incredulously and blushing. Shoko, I won't lie to you, that was quite exciting, she said flirtatiously while putting a hand on Yuji's leg. Yuji, Shoko, he said blushing. We could be found out, he said trying to calm down. Shoko, do you want to do something quieter? She said calmly and with a smile. Shoji, hey, if you're going to get laid, go to a motel, he said amused, scaring the boys. Yuj, shit, said scared and choking on his food. Shoko, hey, please don't do it again, she said calming down. Shoji, calm down, Mom, it wasn't worse than last time, he said nonchalantly. Yuji, why do you call her Mom? Asked confused. Shoji, because she is my mother, he said rhetorically. Yuji, oh, and who is your father? Asked a little sadly. Shoji/Shoko, he's either too innocent or too stupid, they thought with a drop of sweat. Shoji, well, my father's name is Yuji Itadori, she said amused. Yuji, he's a lucky guy, that Yuji said something sad. Wait, I'm Yuji said realizing. Shoji, ha 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 ha, laughed amusedly patting Yuji's back. You always make us laugh, Dad, he said amused as he looked at Yuji. Yuji, so you come from the future? I asked curiously. Shoji, hey, I come from a different dimension, but maybe in the future you'll believe me or not, he said thoughtfully. Me, well, a lot of talk, little action, said scaring the boys. Shoji/Yuji, Kaya! They screamed scared. Shoko, he, they are exactly the same, said something happy. Shoji, well, let's see what they'll show us now, since he said it would be a comedy, he said stealing a slice of pizza from Yuji. The two simply nodded and went to the reaction room to see what the host would show them now, but they also wanted to spend some time with their son even though he is not from their universe yet. After a few minutes, everyone was in the reaction room to see something new and find out what another Yuji would be like. Gojo, and what are we going to see now? I asked with an excited smile. Yuta, I hope it's something calm, he said a little nervous. Nanami, as long as it's not stupid, I'll watch anything, said neutral. May, I'm more curious to know the potential of children, she said playfully and flirtatiously. Megumi, as long as Yuji doesn't do anything stupid, it's fine, said neutral. Me, well, today you will see some comedy, but first I have to explain Yuji's family tree, I said, so everyone looked at me confused. An explanation later / I'm too lazy to explain it, sorry. Gojo, let's see if I understand. Yuji's father is the reincarnation of Sukuna and Kenjaku's brother, who is a sorcerer from more than 1,000 years ago, and stole Yuji's mother's body to have Hex to create Yuji, he said confused and analytical. Me, basically that, I said with a drop of sweat. Yuji, great, one more trauma unlocked, said with a poker face. Megumi, seriously, he was only created to be Sukuna's vessel, said something sad for Yuji. Me, look on the bright side, if you eat some curse with some good technique it will stay in your body, I said funny. Yuji, wait, can I really do that? Asked curiously. Me, well, if you are a vessel and you can have several different curse techniques, be it like Gojo's 6 eyes, Megumi's shadow technique, or Nobara's resonance, or even better, Mahito's soul manipulation, I said, amused, surprising everyone. Yuta, it's like my copy, he said thoughtfully. Me, yes, but you see them and Rika copies them, but in the future she will have to eat a part of the owner of the technique, I said calmly and thought with a drop of sweat. Well, enough of the chatter and react, I said, to put the universe in question. I have to go, so enjoy, I said, to leave, and the universe begins. On the screen, it would be seen how they were all in a courtyard where they were celebrating something. Some were getting drunk, others were eating, and a few were dancing, implying that it was a happy moment. Sukuna, happy national holidays, nephew, said happily and somewhat drunk. Yuji, thanks uncle, you went overboard with the party, said happily Six with a smile. But can I ask you a favor? He asked kindly. Sukuna, tell me nephew, anything but money, eh? Choso, get out of there or you're going to burn yourself, he said seriously and annoyed. Choso, oh what a nice color it has, I'm going to touch it, he said curious and somewhat drunk, but quickly caught fire. Outside, everyone would see how they were in someone's house having a good time, implying that they were celebrating something. Gojo, Sukuna is Yuji's uncle, I understand that, but the fact that he is so good is something strange, he said confused. Nobara, apparently he is drunk, said seeing Sukuna with a bottle of beer. Megumi, what favor are you going to ask him? I asked curiously. Yuta, Choso, what are you doing? Asked confused. Shoko, that's practically impossible, said with a drop of sweat. Shoji, why does it remind me of my birthday? Asked confused. Anna, something similar happened, didn't it? I asked curiously. Choso, and Wawawa said happily. Kaori, well this is strange, she said with a nervous smile. Jean, Sukuna being good, I never imagined it, I couldn't even imagine if he ate me when I was barely a fetus, he said confused. On the screen, Yuji would see how Choso was burning and Maki Panda and Jogo, human, would approach to help put out Choso, but things got worse where Yuji simply ignored him. Yuji, well as I was saying, can I ask you a favor? He asked kindly. Sukuna, wait Yuji, he said stopping Yuji and looking at Megumi. Hey you bucking idiot, he said calling Megumi. Put the meat on the grill, he ordered while scaring Megumi. Megumi, somewhat scared, approached the grill and tried to put the meat on it, but as soon as he got closer the flame of the grill increased, scaring him and causing him to catch fire. Sukuna, now what did you want, dude? Asked curiously. Yuji, look man, I know that these holidays are a vacation and you're going to party and everything, but please can you promise me that on the 18th you won't end up drunk, and by drunk I mean ending up in the corner, lying on the ground cured, with 2 kidneys missing and with 5 corpses around you? He asked kindly while remembering what happened last time with annoyance. Outside, Yuji, how did the situation get worse? Asked confused seeing Panda and Maki trying to put out Choso but also catching fire. May, this is the strangest and most bizarre thing I've ever seen, said with a drop of sweat upon seeing the interaction. Megumi, well anyone would be scared if the flames spread like that, said analytically. Nobara, seriously, that happened the previous 18th of what? Asked confused. Nanami, apparently Yuji had to solve the problems his uncle caused, said with regret. Anna, nothing could be further from the truth, she said a little nervous. Shoji, Dad always solves our problems, even if they are small, he solves them in a somewhat curious way, he said with a drop of sweat. Gojo, ha 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 ha, they stole his kidneys, ha 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 ha, laughed amused. On the screen, Sukuna, Yuji, why so specific? Asked confused and somewhat annoyed. Yuji, because it's exactly the same shit you did last year, he said annoyed remembering what happened last year. Flashback. A drunken Sukuna could be seen looking at a corpse. Sukuna, I cut it, I adapted to infinity, and you already saw the result, hi, he said trying to stay standing. Kashimo, finally what it is has arrived, but he fell silent after receiving a shot from Sukuna. Sukuna, shut up asshole, nobody cares, but he shut up when he saw a photo of him and Gojo kissing each other making him vomit. What the he said disgusted and impressed. Yeah, at least the bottom part remains, he said thoughtfully and laughing. End of flashback. You could see how the firefighters had arrived to put out the small fire while Yuji and Sukuna were talking calmly. Sukuna, what's the big deal if I do it again? I asked, annoyed and curious. Yuji, if you do it again I'm going to be very disappointed in you, man, he said seriously and somewhat sad. Sukuna, you have to be more macho, you bad guy. Hey, he said tiredly and sighing, when your grandmother disappointed me I dismantled her and put her back together. He said, remembering the past with a smile. Yuji, just don't do it please, he begged tiredly. Don't embarrass me please, he said, remembering last time you couldn't pee for 7 months. He said tiredly and screaming. Here is Maki speaking in the background, but I don't understand what she's saying, sorry. Outside. Jean, seriously, that happened last year? Asked with a drop of sweat. Nobara, it seems that we are all here, she said, a little nervous. Gojo, we'll see what happens, said something happy. Nanami, seriously, I'll kill Gojo, said seriously. Shoko, shit, this is bad, said worried. Yutaheim, since when does Sukuna know how to use firearms? I asked confused. Geto, what the buck? Said vomiting. May, I'm surprised that Gojo hasn't said anything, she said, looking at Gojo. Yuji simply touched Gojo, and he fell silent while shaking like jelly. Megumi, it seems that Sukuna is one of those who gives everything, he said with a poker face. Kori, this is too strange and funny, she said, laughing lightly. Anna, well, if he doesn't have the kidneys, it's logical that he can't urinate for so long, she said with a drop of sweat. On the screen. Sukuna, yeah dude, finger promise, he said, tired. Yuji, no, he said with a deadpan face while sighing tiredly. Yuta says something I don't quite understand, so I'm sorry. Sukuna, but you've never had it. He said, confused. What happened to you? He said, tired. Yuta tells him that they were on the road and Rika was arrested for something that left both Sukuna and Yuji confused. Sorry if I don't do the dialogue as a guy, I don't understand it at all. Sukuna, but if the thing is a curse, age doesn't matter, he said, confused. Outside. Everyone would see how the party continued quietly while Yuji and Sukuna talked calmly about what Sukuna should not do, making him snort in boredom. Gojo, do you think that with a finger promise he will believe you? I asked mockingly. Jean, ha 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 ha, he laughed, amused at seeing Yuji's reaction. Maki, no comments, said with a straight face. Panda, well, Rika must actually be a few years younger than Yuta, so he would be the pedophile, he said calmly and amused. Nobara, WTF, said with a poker face. Yuta, I am not a pedophile, said nervously. Geto, and now what's happening to the screen? I asked confused when I saw strange symbols. Me, great, another demon got into this place, I said tired, and it also blew my fuses, he said with annoyance while checking the screen wiring. Yuji, and when did you appear? Asked confused. Me, just like I said, annoyed seeing the burned fuses. Luckily I have spare parts. One said to take out a shotgun. Now demon, either you leave the good way or I'll get you out the bad way, I said annoyed while hearing roars. Well, the bad way it will be, he said annoyed, reloading the shotgun, and you guys go back to your rooms or enjoy doing something else. Until I fix this problem, I said, disappearing. Everyone would see what I did with a drop of sweat, but seeing that it was okay they decided to leave since it was the thought of many. 6 others simply did not care, so little by little they began to leave. Chapter 6. You could see the reaction room quiet since there was no one except me who was hunting the demon that got into the place while I was busy. The jujutsu ones were taking a bath or having breakfast to see what I would show them today. Some were excited, others wanted to see a new world, and who knows, maybe replicate it in their world after a few hours. Everyone was going to the reaction room to see what I would show them. Yuta, what are you doing, sir? Asked confused. Me. The damn demon ate my dessert too, so now his death is more than justified, I said annoyed. Nanami, but a rocket launcher isn't a lot? I asked neutrally. Me, it would be worse if he likes the NTR. I'll bring the anti-aircraft there, he said, annoyed and gloomy. Nobara, well, leaving the idiot aside, what are we going to see now? I asked excitedly. Me, right now you will see when Yuji and Shoko became a couple. Your mother is plus 18. I thought annoyed. Nay, nothing important, I said unimportant. Gojo, So we'll see if Yuji is a grave robber or Shoko is a cradle robber, he said mockingly and with a funny smile. Ghetto. I also want to know how the boy managed to make Shoko fall in love with him since many people tried, he said somewhat surprised. Yudaheim. A question: is there also a universe where this is with the curious question? Me. I didn't think the mother would ask that. I thought somewhat surprised. Yes, there are several, so we will see another one later, don't worry, he said with a nervous smile. My mother now, I must tell all the lore of Beelzebub, I thought tiredly. To do, will there be a universe where my brother and I participate? Excitedly asks. Me, yes, there are several, and before you ask, there are also several where you also participate, I said annoyed. Some were excited, others wanted to see what they were like in that world, others were simply calm, but then the screen lights up. On the screen, you could see what was once Shibuya. Now it was just a huge crater where the biggest genocide in recent times took place after everything had gone down the drain. Yuji and Choso were killing curses. Whether weak or strong, some were in the special category, but it didn't pose any challenge. Yuji killed them easily. On the other side was Shoko in her usual attire, where she was smoking a little while looking at the sky with some annoyance. Shoko, you weren't alone, idiot, you still had me, she said, a little upset and sad. While she was smoking, her phone started ringing, which surprised her a little, but she decided to answer it. Shoko, hello? I greet her somewhat distrustfully. Yuta, hello Shoko, greet politely. Shoko, what's the reason for your call? Asked curiously. Yuta, it's because the higher-ups ordered me to kill Itadori, said seriously. Shoko, now you warn your victims that you are going to kill them? I asked neutrally but with some mockery. Yuta, I know Yuji must be having a bad time, he said pausing. Tell him that tomorrow afternoon I will start looking for him. For now he should rest because he needs it, he said empathetically to hang up. At the time of hanging up the call, Yuta had broken the phone so that they wouldn't track him or know his location, so he decided to go to the opposite side of where Yuji was and walked away while thinking about how to fulfill the binding contract and not kill Yuji in the process. Outside. Nanami, what happened to Shibuya? Seriously asked. Me, holy shit. Now I have to explain it. I thought, annoyed, in simple words, the beginning of a war, I said, downplaying it. Yuji, hey, that's a serious topic, said seriously and annoyed. Me, yes, but it's already happened and they, I said, pointing to their friends and acquaintances, can't know that because it would alter the timeline, I said, confusing them. Megumi, what do you mean? Asked confused. Me. Ag, what the dick, I said, annoyed. To put the paint, imagine your world, I said, to start drawing a line. This line is everything that happened from your past, present, and future, I said, to start dividing the line. An example would be that Yuji and Rika are childhood friends, I said, so that everyone would pay attention to me. Yuta, I called, so that he would see me. Let's suppose that you and Yuji have known each other since they were children. With Rika, I said, so that he nods. Well, if Yuji had been, it would have triggered several problems, I said, confusing everyone. Nobara, and what kind of problems would it cause if Yuji wasn't here? Asked curiously. Nanami, what would happen? Seriously asked. Me, well, let's say that Yuji saves Rika from being run over. That would trigger several possible futures. An example would be that Yuta would never know jujitsu and would have a normal life with Rika, she said, surprising him. Another possible future, and the most realistic, is that the relationship between Yuta and Rika falls apart since she is very bad, I said nervously. Yuta, well, Rika did do bad things, he said thoughtfully. Nanami, well, that's something since we wouldn't have 3 special category sorcerers but 2, he said seriously and thoughtfully. Yudaheim, this one is also Sukuna's vessel, so what would happen to him? Serious question. Me, there are 2 options. The first is that Megumi could kill the special category curse that wanted Sukuna's finger, and keep it somewhere, or I said, so everyone would pay attention. Gojo, or what? Asked curiously. Me, let Sukuna take over Megumi's body from before and look for her fingers, I said seriously. To do. In conclusion, my brother is important no matter what, said sure. Me, well, not so much. The most important would be Toji. I thought with some guilt. Well, let's continue, I said, to take out paint. Press play. On the screen, Yuji was finishing off a special class curse while Choso was killing a few first and second grade curses. It wasn't very complicated to kill them since even if they had the reverse technique and or a domain expansion, it was relatively easy compared to the first time. After finishing cleaning the area, they prepared to go to a new place, but then Yuji's phone rings. Yuji, that's weird, he said confused. Choso, wait a second for me, he asked kindly. Choso, don't worry, little brother, I'll wait here, he said as he sat on a piece of rubble. Yuji, hello Shoko, what do you need me for? I asked kindly. Shoko, Yuji, you have to rest, said seriously and worried. Yuji, huh? Because I'm fine, he said confused. Shoko, Yuji, Nanami died in front of you, Nobara also died in front of you, and you are blaming yourself for the deaths that Sukuna did. Yuji, you are not okay, she said in a cold but calm tone. Yuji stayed a few seconds thinking about whether it was a good idea to rest or not. He heard Sukuna's laughter as he told him that he was weak and pathetic, something he ignored and simply sighed. Yuji, well, I'll rest, he said exhausted. Shoko, perfect, said happily and relieved, I'll give you the location of my apartment so you can go. I'll be there in a few hours, ended the call while lighting a cigarette. Yuji, Choso, you heard right? I asked with some guilt. Choso, yes, 6, I have no problem. I also think that you should rest since what is coming could last a long time. He said seriously but understanding. I will also go visit our brothers, he said to get up. Yuji, I am sorry, I didn't know, said sadly. Choso, don't worry, it's not your fault, damn Kenjaku is to blame, no one else's, he said to give Yuji a hug. Go rest, he said before leaving and getting lost in the darkness. Yuji watched for a few seconds where Choso went and simply sighed to start walking to go to Shoko's apartment, while sighing heavily since he was somewhat tired. Outside. Nobara, now that I see it, he wasn't with us? She asked, confused at not seeing Choso. Me, well, he's recovering because something happened, I said a little nervously. Yuji, what happened? Asked curiously and somewhat worried. Me, apparently Yuki hugged him while he was asleep and broke 2 of his ribs, I said nervously. Nanami, well, she tends to gain weight while sleeping, said neutral. Gojo, wow, Yuji looks tired, he said worried about his student. Shoko, so Yuta called me, but why? Asked confused. Yuta, why did I warn him? Asked confused. Me, in simple words, you are giving Yuji the opportunity to take a breath, I said, so he understands. Yuji, I did everything except rest, said with a poker face. Shoko, but at no time did you complain, sunshine, she said flirtatiously and with a calm smile. Geto, poor thing, I'm sure he didn't have a very good time, he said with regrets. Megumi, because I feel like this will end badly, he thought, somewhat worried. On the screen. Yuji was in an elevator looking inside with some tiredness. It was almost 5 in the morning. He had managed to improve his control of cursed energy a little, even so it was difficult for him to face special class or first class curses. At first it was not so complicated, but after hours of fighting the fatigue accumulated and made it so that he could not make attacks or be able to dodge them well. In conclusion, he was very exhausted. Shoko was right, making Yuji laugh lightly. Yuji, it's the 5th floor room, he said as he got out of the elevator and started walking. Yuji walked for a few seconds until he found Shoko's apartment. He simply sighed and knocked on the door, waiting for Shoko to open it. After a few seconds, Shoko opened the door, making Yuji blush as she was wearing a sports top with somewhat short shorts that highlighted her rear end. Shoko, I'm glad you came, Yuji, she said, happy and somewhat relieved. Yuji, well, you were right, I've been killing curses for a while now, and well, the fatigue is taking its toll on me, he said, embarrassed and ashamed. Shoko, well, you've been killing curses since 8 at night until now, so it's understandable, she said calmly, moving to the side. Come in calmly, Yuji. I won't do anything to you, she said with a gentle smile. A shiver ran through Yuji when he heard those last words. Although Shoko was cold and somewhat reserved, something told him that those words had other intentions. So with a little fear he entered the apartment, and saw that it was the living room along with the kitchen, a bedroom and a bathroom. It was quite spacious, enough for 2 or 3 people. Yuji, so you live alone? I asked curiously. Shoko, yes, for now, maybe in the future I'll bring someone, she said, looking at him out of the corner of her eye. Yuji, said with a shiver. Yuji simply ignored that, and went to sit on the couch to rest, but then Shoko threw him some clothes. Shoko, go take a shower, you smell bad, she said seriously. Yuji looked at the clothes for a few seconds and simply nodded, and went to the bathroom, and while he was getting ready to take a bath he used his head for a few seconds. Yuji, wait a minute, where can I get men's clothes in my size? I asked, confused in the air. Outside. Yuji, I still wonder about that to this day, said with a straight face. Shoko, it was a gift for a friend but he unfortunately passed away, said neutral. Nanami was quiet as he knew his friend and Shoko were good friends, but he didn't know how much, but he decided to ignore that for now. He wanted to see how much Yuji had been through. Gojo, stay away from my student, you home-wrecking cat, said overprotective. Ghetto, I agree with Gojo. Shoko, stay away from the boy, he's still a minor, he said thoughtfully. Shoko, as far as I know, if a boy wants to, he can date whoever he wants from the age of 16-17, she said neutrally and calmly. Me, he has a point, and having Hex with him would be normal, I thought with a drop of sweat. Yuji, to this day I still feel those chills, he said trembling slightly. Nobara, well at least they didn't do anything perverted, said relieved. Yuji, we didn't do anything but I asked her out when everything was over, he said nervously. Yuta, and how did you invite her? I asked curiously. Shoko, I'll ask you out but your clothes aren't invited. That's what she told me, she said with a flirtatious smile. Yuji, in my defense, I was nervous and I came out with nonsense, he said nervously. Jean, well I told your mother something similar, he said with a nervous smile. Kaori, and I only asked you the time, she said with a drop of sweat. Gojo, what did he say to you, miss? Asked curiously. Kaori, I have a room for you, she said remembering. Gojo, noted Yuta, this is pure gold, said amused while Yuta was writing. Maki, so there was that idiot, Yuji said with a vein in his temple. Maki, what did I miss? Asked curiously as he entered through the door. Me, where were you? I asked confused. Maki, I entered a different room that was called The Truth, said remembering. Me, nah, nothing should have happened, I said downplaying it. Well, that's all, you can go rest now, I said, so the guests would start leaving little by little. After a few minutes the room was completely empty, and without any trace of anyone as the lights went out. Chapter 7. You could see the reaction room with some people in some seats that were not the jujutsu ones. These were more normal since one was dressed formally like an office worker, 6 had a ponytail, his height was average 6, there was nothing that stood out. The next one was a blonde girl with red horns on her head. She was wearing a disheveled shirt with a tie along with a blue jacket, blue pants along with her sneakers, and her eyes were dull yellow. The next one was a girl wearing a full body suit which was a dress/uniform. Her hair was black and straight, she was wearing sneakers. The last one was a girl of about 8 to 10 years old who was wearing pants with a brown t-shirt with white details. Her hair was black with pigtails and her eyes were yellow with spirals. Me, wake up you sons of hitches! I said, shooting at the ceiling. At that moment everyone stood up, some already in a fighting stance like Aki and Power, while Asa and Nayuta hid. Me, okay, you're already awake now, go have breakfast, said, making the gun disappear. Power, why do you dare to awaken the great and powerful Power? She said angrily and with some pride. Me, they are going to react to Denji from a different world with his new friends, so now go have breakfast. Or I don't know, I said, leaving the place. The new guests were a little distrustful, so they decided to investigate the place, since although it seemed safe the place could be a trap or something with a demon. Aki checked the place carefully while Power simply lay down to sleep, making Aki angry, but he ignored her, and went straight to the kitchen where Shoji, Zack and Anna were eating pizza. With a Coke while talking about nonsense. Zack, and that's why old cartoons should come back, said Sure. Anna, good points in favor, but I doubt they do it for the generation of stupid people, said annoyed, eating her pizza. Shoji, well, you're right, the cartoons from before taught you something, now they teach you stupidity, he said while taking his Coke. The new ones would look at the boys somewhat curiously or with distrust since they didn't know them at all, but Nayuta approached them and asked for a pizza, where they gave it to him without complications, and at that moment the others were entering, Gojo and Geto were talking/interrogating Shoko about how she was dating Yuji while Nobara, Megumi and Yuji looked at them with a drop of sweat because of their partner's interaction with their teacher. Yutaheim, I can't believe what I did, and what I saw, she said, blushing and embarrassed. Yuta, well, it's incredible that I have to kill him, but why? Asked confused. Nobara, and it seems we are going to die too, she said, somewhat worried and scared. Yuji, don't worry, if you die I'll make you the best graves you can see, he said, confident. Megumi/Nobara, imbecile, they thought with a drop of sweat. To do, I still wonder what happened to me, I asked curiously in the air. Me, well, what happened to you is something good, I said with quotation marks, but we'll see that later, I said calmly. Higuruma, ugh, what happened? Asked, entering the kitchen/dining room. Me, man, I forgot about him, I thought with guilt. Well, we're seeing Yuji for now. You didn't miss anything, I explained briefly. Well, have breakfast and then we'll go see a different Yuji with a new friend, I said, so they would look at me confused. I just laughed and calmly went to the reaction room and saw the CSM with a small smile, and I made them appear in their seats, surprising him, but after a few minutes everyone was already in the reaction room waiting for me to show them a new universe. Aki, why did you bring us here? I asked seriously. Me, to see his friend, answers simply. Nobara, and what will we see this time? I asked curiously and excitedly. Me, well, Yuji wanted to be a hero but he couldn't, I said something funny. On the screen, a hip-hop or rap-style tune could be heard while showing images of Yuji looking pretty damaged but not caring and just getting ready to go to some work. The boss has returned with a bucking flow. I'll score them all. Tell me, LeBron, get on my gift. I have the mission to save everyone from destruction. Oh no. Oh no! They don't know my great power, and they won't be able to deal with the two. Denji, tell them who I am. I wanted to be a hero and they didn't let me, but what does it matter, I just shoot. Outside, everyone would see how a city would be shown while focusing on Yuji, who was wearing a blue t-shirt 6 with pants of the same color, while he saw a red suit with some black details and simply sighed and then appeared in an interrogation room. Nobara, really? Said with a drop of sweat. Gojo, how could they not know the power of one of my star students? I asked confused and with some mockery. Megumi, yes, Gojo has a favoritism with Yuji, and Yuta said neutral. Nanami, why didn't they let him? Asked confused. Me, it's basically a bit excessive, I said a bit nervously. Power, wait, you know that idiot Denji? I asked surprised. Me, well, the Denji of that world died of old age, and because he was killed protecting Nayuta, I said and thought seriously. Aki, but he's a demon and demons don't age, he said somewhat surprised. Me, it's true, but after some events Nayuta has Pachita, I said a little nervous. Asa, wait, what? Asked confused. Me, well, Nayuta had heart problems and the devil hunters were hunting her, and well, Denji was helping her escape, and it was revealed that Nayuta is a mix of Denji and Mikima's blood, which makes her Denji's biological daughter, and after a chase Denji gave his heart to Nayuta so she could live longer, and what was left of Pachita in Denji he used to kill the devil hunters that were around, and dying in the end, I briefly told. Naomi, well, it is understood that he sacrificed himself to save his daughter, that was noble, but what does that have to do with Yuji? Asked confused. Gojo, why do I feel proud? Asked confused in the air. On the screen, I stop the enemies and make it clear to them that messing with me is expensive, and I was called to fulfill an important mission, that special job that left me paradox. I am the Messiah of anime. The script came out well because Mappa already bought me, so see you Gidge. Outside, everyone would see how Yuji handled weapons like a professional and began to kill several who attacked him and mocked them, or made jokes about their deaths, causing many to have a drop of sweat. Nobara, who is Gidge? Asked confused. Me, nobody important, just a damn bastard who caused me more trauma than my ex, he thought, annoyed, and I said, downplaying it. Gojo, what do you mean, the anime messiah? Asked confused. Me, well, Yuji believes, and knows, that they are in a manga/anime 6. Well, he is breaking the fourth wall, I said, downplaying it. Higuruma, and why do you think that? Asked curiously. Me, seriously, where do these guys come from? I thought confused. Well, it was because of an experiment in Canada where they tortured him to activate his power, I explained briefly. Shoko, so that's why it looks half scorched, isn't it? I asked curiously. Me, yes, he was put in a machine that takes away his oxygen, and he ended up like this, and well, thanks to that he ended up like this. I said something sad. Let's continue, I said to press play. On the screen. Traveling to all the universes looking for Denji to restore those realities and make the future ideal. After so much he was able to find him, but in a fatal state he had a new anchor. But he did not want to help. Denji and Yuji outside the hood will return to action. Denji and Yuji outside the hood, you already know they leave their legacy until the end. Outside. Everyone would see how Denji was in a bar where the bartender told him that he couldn't be there, and Denji asks for one more drink, and Yuji appears wearing a rather peculiar suit. It was like a fusion of his red sweatshirt with his uniform, where he had a mask that covered his nose and mouth, and on his back he had 2 katanas. At that moment Yuji tells him to go with the one who needs his help, but he refused to go with him, and Yuji simply pointed a gun at him. Aki, wait, why does he look so old? Asked confused. Nayuta, isn't it that he was dead? Asked confused. Asa, 6, why could he barely get Pachida out? I asked without understanding. Power, will there be ice cream? She asked excitedly. Me, power, in the black refrigerator there is ice cream too. It looks old since it is in a place where it can age up to a certain point. 6. The reason why he can't take Pachida out is why. No, I really don't know, I said with some embarrassment. Shoko, apparently he needs it, but for what? I asked confused. Me, they need an anchor since their world is in danger, I said seriously, since thanks to a few events Yuji broke the timeline, I said to Sai. Ghetto, wait, wouldn't that be impossible? Asked confused. Me, well, I'll explain it there, I said to Sai, and make a thermos and a maid appear. An explanation later, I'm too lazy to explain it, let's do a time skip and that's it. Ghetto, let's see if I understood. A sorcerer from the future returns to the past to kill a child who will be a terrorist in the future, but the child sacrifices himself for him, changing the future, making it so that the sorcerer from the future can no longer return to his original line, he said, processing. Yuta and Yuji, thanks to the fact that he fixed the device that the sorcerer used to travel in time, he did it by changing several things, he said, understanding a little. Naomi, in conclusion, Yuji screwed up, said neutral. Nobara, why I'm not surprised, she said with a sigh. Aki, so thanks to destroying the timeline his world is falling apart, but why can't he do it alone? Asked confused. Me, it's because thanks to breaking his timeline, other universes are in danger since they are alternate lines, I said, confusing them. Shoko, I understand half of it, could you explain it better? She asked politely. Me, well, time is on a straight line. If someone makes a change, it generates another timeline where the change did occur. But what happens if you have 2 equal lines? I asked seriously. Ghetto, I really have no idea, he said, thinking. Me, in simple words, one of the worlds must die because having the same time creates a paradox and a lot of other stupid things that I don't want to explain, I said, tired, although in the end the idiot wanted to eliminate them, I thought, with a drop of sweat. On the screen. And I have put up with a lot of your nonsense. Let's see if you'll grow up now. I've warned you more than 1,000 times, you stab me with your katanas, but they don't do anything to me, my skin is already used to it. Don't even blush now that I brought you to your knees, you beg me for mercy, I don't know if I can be more patient, we will join forces just to change my world. Outside. Aki, what do you mean by wanting to change your world? I asked confused. Me, the horsemen of the apocalypse destroyed the world and Denji was trapped in hell trying to save Nayuta, but he couldn't do it. He tried to help the world but he couldn't do it, and he blames himself for it, explained briefly. Power, so if he helps this Yuji guy he can change that? I asked curiously. Nayuta, he cares about me? She thought sadly and somewhat confused. Me, of course he cares about you, you're his daughter, I thought with a drop of sweat. Higuruma, can you really help him? Asked curiously. Me, well, Yuji asked for a wish with reasons so they can restore it, I said calmly. On the screen. And when knowledge comes, I make it end its existence because we are captured in a simple way by a magnet that leaves us like bread and butter. Catch, shut up and sit on the chair. Now we have to be protectors of one head. One knee is enough. I will try to sink my claws into any part of his forehead. Outside. Inumaki. By the way, where they are seems to be in a desert, he said, seeing the whole panorama. Me, well, that place is known as the Void, a place where all the corrupted universes are or that should not exist, I said, so they would be confused. Well, let's imagine that there is a universe where Susanoo was not completely sealed, only part of his power, and he decides to become a sorcerer, I said, so everyone would be surprised. Gojo, that would be the strangest and most incredible thing I would see, he said, impressed. Me, yes it would be, but if it is not a complete universe, these are eliminated since they would fall into an infinite loop, I said, so that some would understand. Aki, in simple words they are like discarded ideas, he said, understanding. Me, basically that's it, I thought with a drop of sweat. Nobara, hey, who is that? Asked curiously. Gojo, ha ha ha, a bald girl, ha ha ha, said amused while laughing. Maki, wow, it seems that Yuji is pretty good with any weapon, she said when she saw how Yuji was shooting at some men. Asa, well, it seems that Denji doesn't have much patience, he said with a drop of sweat. Nayuta, well, spending so much time alone and always wanting to kill you is understandable that he has little patience, said with condolences to Denji. On the screen. In front of all these people, although in this emptiness there is more mess, my power almost non-existent, Alith appears on the scene. We escape flying, knowing that we could be their dinner. Nice pool, the man with long hair lends us his trailer so we can travel through the sand. Wait, stop for a second. Are you telling me that you're lying to me, or am I the one who's confused? Outside. Panda, now what did Yuji do? Asked curiously. Me, well, when he made the wish with reasons they said yes, but if he wanted to restore time or some world, it would be complicated, so it is not known if they can fix that Denji's world or not. Explain briefly. Yuta, well, considering that Yuji needed his help, a lie that could fix his world doesn't seem so bad, and the odds shouldn't be so bad, he said thoughtfully. Me, 30/70ths, I said, downplaying it, although those who make fanfic increase the chances, I thought with a drop of sweat. Nobara, ouch, that must have hurt, said, seeing how Denji stabbed Yuji in the leg. At that moment they would see how both would fight inside the car, causing the blood of both to spread all over the place while both regenerated slowly but surely. Nayuta, how come his power doesn't exist? I asked, confused. Me, apparently it costs a little more to use powers in the vacuum, I said calmly. Gojo, and who was the bald one? Asked curiously. Me, that will be explained later, I said, downplaying it. On the screen. How stupid I have been so deep. If you have not been able to fix your relationship, then the world should sacrifice me for a girl, who is a fool. I am more agile than a salamander on a wall. We make our way so as not to fail and to be able to end Cassandra's curse. Outside. Shoko, so you had a relationship, hush, she said, jealous and upset. Me, well yes, but she actually had to die, I said with some guilt. Gojo, I don't understand, he said without understanding. Nanami, thanks to the fact that you feel things over time, he saved her from dying, and so that everything is balanced, Yuji's now ex left him, leaving her alive but being someone else's partner, I suppose, he said thoughtfully and analytically. If that's basically it, he said, impressed. I didn't even have to explain it, thanks Nanami, I thought gratefully. Asa, who is Cassandra? Asked curiously. Me. Well, she's the boss of those men, and they'll already know what she wants to do, I said calmly. Nobara, wait, why is the girl older? Asked confused. Me, basically because in a world she grew up and saw Denji die, but she has Pachita and continued with the Chainsaw Man legacy, but the world went to shit because it was in an endless loop, and well, there they are, I briefly told. Ghetto, and who are the others? I asked curiously. Me, not very dear universes also in there, and well, they are helping Denji and Yuji to get out of there since they can't get out, I said something sad at the end. On the screen. And with the Juggernaut helmet the plan could be stopped, his powers were blocked, but he continued with that desire, having to convince her that all her hatred was unreal. And so, being united, they will finally fulfill their ideal. Outside. Everyone would see how a man with what looked like a purple helmet was driving. Yuji was the co-pilot, while in the back would be Nayuta along with a colored man who was coming out the top window with an RPG, and Denji driving to what looked like an enemy base and making his way through with the missile that the colored man had launched. Yuta, wait, who's Juggernaut? Asked confused. Me, a man who is too strong and wears a thick pure metal helmet that prevents anyone from reading his mind or trying to control him, I briefly told. Plus I wouldn't know which characters to put in to be the villains, I thought sadly. Nayuta, wait, why are we attacking Cassandra? Asked confused. Shoko, by the way, who is nice pool that they mentioned a few minutes ago? I asked curiously. Me, the first is that Cassandra had a way of returning to Yuji's world, said calmly, and the second is a version of Yuji, I said to the surprise of many. Gojo, wait, you're telling me there are more Yujis there? I asked confused and incredulous. Me, yes, you will see some versions later, I said calmly. On the screen. Denji and Yuji outside the hood will return to action. Denji and Yuji outside the hood, you already know they leave their legacy until the end. With this duo they will not be able to, we are immortal, what can they do? You will see how we will be behind with any rival, no matter who comes, we will triumph in the end. Outside. Nobara, well, they make a good team, she said, seeing how they helped each other. Nanami, wait, how is Yuji immortal? Asked confused. Me, the experiment gave him the best reverse technique of all, but with a small problem, I said a little nervously. Shoko, and that problem is? I asked curiously. Me, the reverse technique is so powerful that it makes the red and white blood cells regenerate so quickly that they are like those of a newborn baby, I said, explaining. Shoko, if that's true, everything that Yuji regenerates will be in a state that only an infant can endure, she said, worried. Me, yes, that would be the case if I didn't have terminal cancer, I said, so everyone would be surprised. Megumi, wait, Yuji has cancer? Said surprised 6, worried. Me, yes, unfortunately. But thanks to the fact that cancer devours everyone, Yuji's regeneration is controlled, I said, so Shoko would think. Shoko, so while Yuji regenerates his red and white blood cells that are consumed by the cancer, nothing serious happens since the cancer eats continuously while Yuji regenerates them, she said, understanding. Me, yeah, basically that, I said, giving him a little star on the forehead. On the screen. So you managed to return to our world having only 4 seconds. Quickly we had to go to finish the plan, but Cassandra arrived and sent us flying. We had to face all my photocopies. It seems like a horde of zombies. Without me they will not be able to. Their strength is a microscope. The blood will flow in an improper way. Outside. Everyone would see how a portal opened where Denji and Yuji quickly entered it but fell from a great height, where they fell on top of some cars from a dealership and left while some children watched them in amazement. 6. After walking for a few hours they stop at a bench to rest where a portal opens where a small dog with pink hair and a suit similar to Yuji's comes out, only without weapons, and after the same portal more versions of Yuji appeared, although the first was a girl. Gojo, calm down Gojo, it's illegal, he thought guiltily while controlling himself. Aki, so they're going to kill all those Yujis, but why? Asked confused. Me, it's because they are versions that were sent into the void, and well, Cassandra promised to restore their worlds if they helped her, I said with a drop of sweat. But they saw how Yuji used Nice Pool as a human shield to go to a Mexican food cart and looked for something to save him, but Denji simply took out the puppy, causing the shooting to stop and going with Yuji telling him what had killed him, and after taking out 2 gold-plated desert eagles he goes to the front to kill his other versions, but in that Denji comes out and activates Pachita, making Chainsaw Man appear and telling him that he was really jealous of his final form. On the screen. But these regenerate and come back again, and when no one expects it, Peter Pool appears and we go out to look for Paradox, who is desperate. Yes, Cassandra will extract the energy from the Time Ripper and have enough power to destroy mountains, waters, land, sky, clouds with the wind. Her goal has always been to destroy the animes. Outside. Everyone would see how the massacre began where Yuji and Denji killed all the versions of Yuji easily and painfully, but they regenerated again, worrying everyone, but then a somewhat older, fat man, no offense, appeared on a bicycle. He told them that everything was over and all the versions of Yuji were surprised and happy to see him. They began to cheer him on and greet them as if they were old friends, but the scene would change to where Denji threatened Paradox, telling him where Cassandra was and that his goal was to kill the animes/multiverses, where they quickly went to where they were. Nobody said anything because the sequence was entertaining, so they continued watching. On the screen. We must sacrifice ourselves with an energy bridge since we are not the ones who visit hospitals, stopping the evil plan that Cassandra would like. Without dying in the attempt, since we are immortal now, there is no break, it burns to the ground. Link your fingers, acting as a conductor. Outside. Nayuta, wait, what are you doing? I asked curiously and worried. Me, well, they need an energy bridge to transfer energy from one place to another. 6. Well, Yuji was going to sacrifice himself so that Denji could go to his world, but Denji said that they were already in this together, and they would finish it together, but the consequence is that they will lose something. I said seriously. Aki, and what would Denji lose? I asked curiously. Me, you will see that now, and you will also see that Yuji lost, I said seriously. Higuruma, well, I understand that they are immortal, but they must have a medical checkup from time to time, said with a drop of sweat. Nobara, wait, those are memories of the boy called Denji. Wow, I really had a bad time, said sad for Denji. Tudu, I wasn't wrong when I said that you were my brother. Even with everything against you, you still care about your friends, said happy for his friend/brother. Yudheim, well, I'm glad everything is going well, he said with a smile. On the screen. I feel the fire, don't let go, I beg you, this game will end, we are the switch, I feel like I'm dying, although I consider myself the best companion. This mission ended, a challenge and a duel, my steel melts to be able to end up saving the multiverse/anime. Outside. Power, hey, what is that idiot talking about? I asked confused. Me, in simple words, Denji, in order to save the multiverse/anime, sacrificed Pachita, making him no longer a demon and no longer immortal, I said seriously. Nayuta, wait, that means Chainsaw Man doesn't exist anymore, said sadly. Me, 40 of 60, he can still pull out saws and his regeneration isn't strong, but he discovered something, I said a little nervous. Asa, and that's it? I asked curiously. Me, well, when Yuji asked to restore Denji's world, they told him that it was always in the timeline, the end of his world, meeting Yuji and helping him improve was always in the plans of time, I said, so that everyone would be incredulous. Megumi, and what did Yuji lose? I asked curiously. Me, he lost some memories that he considered important. In simple words, he doesn't remember his girlfriend or how he got his powers, I said, surprising everyone. Shoko, I hope he has forgotten about that hitch, she thought happily and with a smile. Me, Alv, since when is she toxic? I thought incredulously, nay, poor Yuji will die from SNU or from a stab wound from Shoko, I thought carefree. Nanami, where is Yuji? Asked curiously. Me, he's spending time with his family, I said nonchalantly. On the screen. And she ends up breaking up, she can't save so much energy, even if it means putting an end to my days, being united we will be. The only hope, his most latent faith with a friend, it will be a pleasure to face death together. Outside. Nobara, well, at least the universes are safe, she said confused. Power, so he can grow old and die, right? Said something sad. Me, yes, basically, I said with regrets. Nayuta, we're going to meet again, aren't we? I asked curiously and somewhat worried. Me, maybe yes, maybe no, nobody knows, I said shrugging. Aki, so she stayed with Yuji, huh? Said happy for her friend. Yuta, well, at least they take care of each other, said happy for the boys. On the screen. Denji and Yuji outside the hood will return to action. Denji and Yuji outside the hood, you already know they leave their legacy until the end. With this duo they will not be able to, we are immortal, what can they do? You will see how we will be behind with any rival, no matter who comes, we will triumph in the end. Outside. Me, well, that's all, you can go rest now, I'll take the CSM back to their world, I said, so the Jujutsu ones would come out little by little. After a few minutes, the jujutsu people were no longer in the room, and I simply clapped my hands, making the Chainsaw Man people disappear while the lights slowly went out. Chapter 8. You could see the recreation room where Anna, Zack, and Shoji were with their respective mothers talking nonsense while their mothers listened to everything, although they had poker faces. Anna, and that's how Dad and Uncle Yuta revived the Soviet Union, she said, amused. Shoko. Maki. They didn't know how to be or how to feel knowing that their partners revived something that had ended a long time ago. May, and what did they gain by reviving the Soviet Union? I asked curiously. Anna, wait, it should be around here, she said, looking for her phone. Here it is, she said, to open her bank account. Anna simply gave the phone to her mother and saw a number that she only saw in her dreams. It was something that not even her friends believed. Anna, well, that's a small part, since we spend a lot of money on creating new companies so that everyone has jobs and no one is poor, she said thoughtfully. Zack, we are also helping the Argentine and Venezuelan economies to get out of all their problems, he said nonchalantly. Shoji, well, that's what we do in our free time, said amused and calm. Maki, and why did they restore the Soviet Union? Asked confused. Anna, it was on a drunken night, she said with a drop of sweat. Zack, and all this in Yudam? Asked confused. In the reaction room were Gojo with Geto and Yudahime waiting for Yuji with Choso and Geto. I still don't believe that your student had hex with Yudam, he said impressed. Gojo, I taught my student quite well and he is also with 3 women, he said proudly. Yudahime, I really don't know how to feel knowing that I'm in a relationship with a teenager, she said confused. Yuji, you should feel lucky to have this great match, he said funny and mockingly. Gojo, that proves everything I taught you, Yuji, he said mockingly and amused. Yudahime hit Yuji, but he didn't mind since he had earned it, but Yuji had picked up Choso and started feeding him his bottle while he watched him amused. Yuji, it's better that when I get old you take me to a good house and support me, he said funny and mockingly. Gojo, well, it is difficult for a sorcerer to age since the cursed energy will always keep the body in its best condition, and together with the reverse technique, it is almost impossible to age, he said calmly and amused. Yuji, oh my god, I won't have my retirement, said with comical tears. Yudahime, well, considering that you and your friends killed Sukuna, it's likely that they'll give you paid vacations, she said thoughtfully. Yuji, come on. Being bored and getting paid is the dream of any average Latin American, he said amused. Yuji was playing with Choso, and, while being watched by Geto, Gojo, and Yudahime, although the latter looked at them with a small smile as if she were a wife watching her fiancé play with her son, but she shook her head when she saw that he was again in the reaction room. Me, guys, we got excited again, singing funny while entering the room. Gojo, you seem happy, what happened? I asked curiously. Me, nothing important, well, call everyone and we will react, I said happy and excited. Yudahime, I'll call them because I doubt these idiots would call them normally, she said annoyed. Me, is he also referring to Yuji? I thought confused. Yuji, son, I know you read my thoughts, nah, he thought while looking at his son. After a few minutes, everyone was in the reaction room, some with food, others with drinks and or some snacks to eat while watching a new universe. Me, okay, I have to go do something so the screen will answer your questions, I said to activate the screen. Nanami, anything else? I asked seriously and neutrally. Me, you may like it or not, I said calmly. Well, see you in a few weeks, I said to disappear. Megumi, well, I wonder what we'll see, said curiously in the air. Nobara, as long as it's not Yuji having hex with them, everything's fine, she said a little upset. Yuji, just remembering it makes my hips hurt, he said with a shiver, remembering that night. Yuta, I just hope it's not something bad, said nervously. On the screen, Megumi could be seen along with Nobara and a pink-haired girl wearing the sorceress costume and what looked like a red diver. Gojo, Akane reading a book? This is amazing, take a picture to commemorate this day, said funny and mockingly. Megumi, Akane, what are you reading? Asked curiously. Akane, well, I found an old book in the library and it talks about a certain Yuji with a Yuta, she said confused. Gojo, Oh, you're reading the beginning of sorcery, he said, somewhat excited. Nobara, teacher, do you know that story? Asked curiously. Gojo, of course it's the beginning of sorcery, said amused. Megumi, can't you count them? Asked curiously. Gojo, well, 2,000 or 3,000 years ago there were several clans that fought for control of certain places, he said calmly, but there were two people who managed to take control of two clans, and from there they made a peace pact and created a city where it was a neutral zone, he said briefly. Akane, well, it's a pretty brief way of telling the story, she said with a drop of sweat. Megumi, I was expecting something more informative, but I was expecting a lot, said neutral hurting Gojo. Nobara, well, the truth is I'm with Megumi, she said calmly. Outside. Nanami, who is the girl? Asked curiously. Gojo, he looks a lot like Yuji, he said, looking closely at the screen. Yudaheim, the history of sorcery? Do we have something like that? I asked, confused in the air. Ghetto, it seems that Gojo likes that story, said with a drop of sweat. Nobara, it's a good summary, said with a drop of sweat. Yudaheim, I didn't expect anything from Gojo 6, but it still manages to disappoint me even more, said, giving himself a false bomb. Yuji, great, I'll use this for the next exam, said, writing down the story. Nanami, sometimes I think they come from the same family, he said, tired. Megumi, but what will we see? I asked curiously. On the screen. You could see images of a man in his 30s in the middle of a battlefield, but then it changes to a house in the woods where there were some graves, and then it changes to the present where there were several people, but it changes again. There are two clans that should not fight. If you see them, try to avoid a fight. If it is Okatsu, they may spare your life. If it is Itadori, you will lose your life. I was revived? But what is this? Did they use Edo Tensei? Such a primitive technique. How many enemies? How many have joined? Just tell me, why am I still here? In this defective body? Sorry, my name is Kabuto, but I hope you understand me. I left your body at the peak of combat. Boy, when you were born I was already a legend. I'm going to show you what Yuji is like at his peak. Outside. Jean, well, the melody sounds like something rock, but as if it were going to tell something relaxed, he said, trying to understand. Nobara, there were two clans that shouldn't fight, she said, confused. Yuta, apparently both clans were feared and respected, said upon hearing that it is better not to fight with them. Gojo, he was revived, said seriously. Maki, what is Edo Tensei? Asked confused. Screen. It's a curse technique that belongs only to that world. Shoko, he seems a bit upset, she said, a bit excited. Yuji, why does he say my last name? Is it some ancestor? I asked confused. Inumaki, is your body defective? Asked confused. Ghetto, so they consider him a legend, said impressed. But everyone was incredulous when they heard that the man was Yuji, and that he would prove why he is a legend. Gojo, I wonder how much my student has improved, he said thoughtfully and somewhat excited. Yudaheim, well, he looks badass like that, she said, a little blushed. Anna, no, and no, said to tie Yudaheim, Ahoko and Mei in their chairs. Megumi, why do you tie them up? Asked confused. Shoji, the last time Dad did something for them they raped him, they left him without hips and he almost had psychological trauma, he said, tying Shoko tighter. Yuji, I'm going to die, he said with fear and hiding behind Yuta. Maki, huh? Yuta also has a clan? I asked confused. On the screen. Many new wizards against a rusty wizard. I start walking and the battalion gets scared. I increase my steps and they tremble, and look, they didn't even touch me. It's already started. I'll make the enemies fly everywhere in the blink of an eye. I activated my technique. Did they make me use Susanoo? Congratulations, congratulations, I hope it's not a problem, but I woke up the eyes of God. Outside. You could see how Yuji and the person called Kabuto were at the top of the tallest building in Shibuya, where there were several sorcerers watching with fear how Yuji just jumped and landed as if nothing happened, looking at everyone with some curiosity. Nobara, new sorcerers, said, a little nervous. Megumi, against a rusty one, said, feeling pressure. Yuta, just by taking a few steps they were already scared, said impressed. Ghetto. But it seems that the pace has increased, he said when he saw how he started to run. Yudheim. She's barely running and they're already shaking, she said, a little nervous. But they saw how Yuji got into the middle of the battalion and sent everyone flying with a simple reinforced blow, and they began to attack him, but Yuji moved his eyes from one side to the other, dodging and analyzing his enemies. Gojo, huh? What is that shit? Asked in disbelief upon seeing Susanoo. Nobara, wasn't he the god of the sword from Japanese mythology? Asked confused. Screen. Susanoo is a being made of cursed energy that only Yuji can control, and only very few manage to make Yuji use that technique. Ghetto God's eyes? I asked curiously. Screen. It is the fusion of the 6 eyes of the Gojo clan along with Yuji's technique. Yuda, and what would that technique be? I asked curiously. Screen. You already saw it. Megumi, I understand now. His curse technique allows him to analyze his opponent in seconds to know his weakness, said analytically. Screen. Also, Yuji's curse technique allows him to copy 7 cursed techniques with just a glance. Yuji, why didn't God give me those power-ups? Annoyedly asked the sky. Shoji/Anna/Zack. Because you killed him, they thought, with a drop of sweat. On the screen. You brought me to the top? That's hilarious. I'm not even close, but I'm gonna do something extraordinary. Everyone gives up and prays with a meteorite. Your power damages bodies, mine is planetary. I see that they are trying hard. He stopped at the last minute. I would even applaud if it weren't an insult. I know he was stopped, however, I still ask, just tell me, what will you do with the second one? Outside. Yuda, what does that mean? I asked confused. Everyone would see how Yuji could easily take on 10 or more enemies without any problems, while he sighed in boredom since it was very easy for him, but everyone was in shock and disbelief. Yuji had just summoned a meteorite, surprising and scaring everyone since that was something almost impossible. Gojo, his power is planetary? Said in disbelief. Nobara, how does his power damage the body? Asked confused. Screen. I don't remember very well, but I know that Kabuto's curse technique allows him to damage another's body, but it requires certain conditions. Megumi, it seems that the sorcerers are trying their best, she said when she saw how they were trying to stop the little meter. Yudheim, it's good that they were able to stop him, she said, relieved. Anna, it seems that they still don't understand, she said with a smile. Shoji, because it is considered a legend said to see how a second meteorite fell. Everyone was in disbelief and scared to see Yuji so calm and with a smile when he saw that they stopped his meteorite, but the fear increased when they saw how a second meteorite fell, while Yuji simply laughed with amusement. On the screen. Salvation has a price. It has a price. I offer the illusion. I know it is very difficult to understand, because he did not see the reality. Believing that living is a sweet lie is better than the bitter truth. It is from love that the bond is born and makes you want to protect. Love turns into pain. When someone you love dies, pain gives birth to hatred. Revenge consumes everything. Revenge becomes justice. Here is the disease of the world. Outside. Gojo, well, there's a point, he said when he heard the chorus. Yuji, salvation, said, remembering the final fight. Yuta, it has a price, he said, understanding those words. Megumi, does it offer an illusion? I asked confused. Nobara, even Yuji finds it difficult to understand a simple order, said hurting Yuji. Nanami, well, many prefer to live a sweet lie than face reality, he said seriously. Ghetto, love creates a bond, he said understanding. Yuta, well, sometimes love makes you want to protect the one you love, he said a little nervously. Maki, well, the difference between love and hate can vary, but why do you say that? I asked confused. Gojo, it's true, when someone you love dies you just want revenge, he said remembering Amani. Ghetto, why do you call yourself the world's disease? I asked confused. On the screen. In the war, from a young age, hatred accompanied my life from the beginning. I see so much hatred. How many have left? I had 4 brothers with many dreams and desires, I just wanted to protect them. The problem is that a war fueled by old people means death takes its toll and children are the ones who pay the price. Outside. Everyone would see a Yuji of about 12 or 14 years old with a slightly younger Yuta where they were playing near a river and talking about future plans, and Yuji tells Yuta that he had 4 more brothers but they all died because of the war, and Yuta also tells him that he lost his brothers, and at that moment they saw the corpse of an 18-year-old boy who was from Yuji's clan, making him angry. Nobara, since he was little he was always at war, said something sad. Kaori, huh? I had more children? I asked, confused. Screen. Yes, since Yuji and Choso were the oldest, but thanks to the war at 15 years old they were taken to war and died, leaving only Choso and Yuji alive. Jean, what happened to us? Asked, confused. Screen. So Kaori died of sadness and depression, and Jean died of natural causes. Nanami, it seems that the death of his brothers affected him, said with condolences. Anna, it's like Dad says, in difficult times he creates strong men and strong men create easy times, she said calmly. Shoji, it's good that Dad gives us difficult times even though our life is quite calm, he said with a nervous smile. Zack zzz snore with Choso, N, in his chest. Choso, seriously, Yuji suffered a lot because of that, he said when he saw the look of hate and sadness that Yuji had. On the screen. Choso died too, but I tried to leave him behind. We gave life to what I dreamed so that no young person would die, but at some point your brother will die. He will be your successor. I tried to warn my clan, but they didn't believe me. They thought I was crazy for wanting power. Outside. Choso, so I died too, huh? Said with a sad smile. Yuji just sighs sadly. But they saw how Choso told Yuji to get out of the place, that he would stop them as long as he could, and then several dead people were seen while Choso was with some wounds, but at that moment someone appeared from behind piercing him with a sword, and Choso saw that it was the leader of his clan, and dying a few seconds later. Gojo, TSK, there will always be shitty old men, said, annoyed to see that they prefer war over peace. Geto, I agree with you, said, annoyed. Choso, huh? What does that mean? I asked, confused when I heard that. They gave life to what I dreamed of. Screen. Yuji has a curse technique that allows him to create illusions, but the downside is that he has to feel a strong emotion to fully activate it. Nobara, so the death of the Pale One caused him enough pain to activate it completely, right? Said Analytica. Screen. Extra fact: Yuji, when activating this technique, made Choso live an illusion where he lived happily and contentedly with the rest of his brothers. Nanami, but at some point it will have to end, right? I asked, confused. Screen. Yuji's technique makes it so that when the illusion ends, it plays again. Gojo, I understand it as a YouTube rerun, said analytically. Megumi, I warned them and they still didn't believe me, said annoyed. Yuta, he wanted more power? But for what? Asked, confused. On the screen. The harvest is bad. Look carefully if the dirt is at the root of the fruit. They never come, are they the 5 special ones? Everything is fine. Do you prefer clones with or without Susanoo? It can only be a joke. Is this the level of the 5 special sorcerers? They have fallen very low. Outside. Everyone would see how the fight between the sorcerers and Yuji became complicated, and then Kai Okatsu, Megumi Fushiguro, Kaiser, Satoru Gojo, and Yuki appeared and went to attack, where Yuji, seeing them, simply made some clones and asked him a question. Gojo was said in disbelief. Geto, or without Susanoo, said to be shocked. Yuji, my goodness, why didn't you give me those power-ups when I needed them? Said annoyed. Anna, there's no point, she said heavily. Shoji, well, Dad has 3 domains and Sukuna's techniques, so he has power-ups, he said with a drop of sweat. Kaori, it's a very good phrase. Write it down, Jean said for Jean to write down the phrase. Yuta, wait, I have a granddaughter? Said in disbelief. Maki, it seems that Yuji hates you, but why? She asked, confused upon hearing that he would kill her. Geto, some fight between friends possibly, said, downplaying it. Inumaki, it seems that he looks down on the special class, said a little nervously. Screen. It's just that none of them can hold a candle to him. Nobara, isn't that a bit narcissistic? She said, confused. Gojo, well, he is proving that his words are true, he said when he saw how Yuji easily beat the special class. Yurheim, he's beating Gojo, she said, impressed. On the screen. So many years without combat, are you really his granddaughter? Of my old friendship you will be the first to die. I will cut you off piece by piece. I will leave now. Meeting Obituary has a plan in mind. The spectrum is noisy, so girl, listen carefully. Do you want to know why I'm here? It's because I killed the 5 sorcerers. Outside. Everyone would see how Kai fought alongside Gojo, Megumi, Kaiser and Yuki trying to land a hit, but Kai was quickly caught and split in half while Yuki threw a black hole at him, but Yuji simply yawned and stopped her with one hand and quickly returned the attack, damaging her quite a bit. Kaiser tried to stab him from behind, but Yuji simply sent him flying, making him go through about 20 buildings. Gojo was about to activate his domain, but Yuji simply looked at him with boredom and let him activate his domain, which didn't affect him since he had the eyes of God, but he had to dodge a purple one, surprising him slightly, but Yuji simply threw a purple one at him, also surprising Gojo, but nobody had credit or anything to say the fight was good, so they kept watching. On the screen. Yuta knew I would see you, ha 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 ha. Yuta. I'm a bit too busy to fight with you. You're still unbearable. Facing clones is boring. Do what you have to do. I'll wait a few minutes. It'll be better if you don't take too long. Outside. Maki, what is Yuta doing there? She said, confused. Maki. At first he said there were 2 clans and they said their last names. I think it's obvious, he said, rolling his eyes, but receiving a punch from Maki. Screen. Well, I understand Maki's question, and what they do is that they revived Yuta because they thought he could beat Yuji. Geto, seriously, he said with a drop of sweat when he saw Yuta's response. Nobara, it seems that he is a little annoyed, she said when she saw her friend sigh. Yuji, I would have told him, you son of a hitch, you're alive. I can finally have fun, he said, amused. Yuta, I would have said, wait, idiot, I'm busy now. Get a number and I'll take care of you, he said mockingly. Everyone broke out in a sweat upon hearing what they had said, but they continued to watch the screen. On the screen. I'm starting to get angry, Tobarama. I will never forgive you, not for my brother nor for the Itadoris. To protect one thing I sacrifice another, even though they are still my family. Death, I told you that time that it was too early to thank me. You finally did your part, now you can die. Outside. Panda, apparently he hates waiting, said, a little nervous. Kaori, wait, what did he mean by that? She asked, annoyed. Screen. Tobarama had created a deal where he would attack the Okatsu and vice versa, where no other clan would join nor as support or help, and well, he sacrificed half of the Itadori clan just for that. Gojo, well, there are always those old men, but it doesn't seem so bad to me, he said thoughtfully. Screen. At that time, children between 12 and 16 years old were sent on assassination missions or to defend a specific place, but there are also older children. Maki, well, I'll kill my entire clan, said with a drop of sweat. Panda, they don't look alike at all since they are participating in a war, said Analytical. Geto, apparently he only used it temporarily, said something sad for Obito. Megumi, well, in sorcery there aren't many people to trust, said Neutral. On the screen. I put all the entities on a leash, oh yeah, and absorbed all that power for myself, just for myself. Now I'm reborn in a perfect form, activating the mode. Rikida Sennin. Where did this chick come from? I don't understand how she can do it. I'm almost at the limit with that unfortunate sequence of blows. I was almost on the verge of death. And that's why he declared you as the strongest sorceress. Tsukuyami activated. He thought he was defeated, that you lived quite well? And you had friends to take care of? Akane, wake up, this is the dream you wanted to believe. Open your eyes, because salvation has a price. It has a price. I offer the illusion. I know it is very difficult to understand, because he did not see the reality. Believing that living is a sweet lie is better than the bitter truth. It is from love that the bond is born and makes you want to protect. Love turns into pain. When someone you love dies, pain gives birth to hatred, revenge consumes everything, revenge becomes justice, here is the disease of the world. Outside. Everyone saw how chains came out of various places and connected with Yuji, and his cursed energy increased and increased, becoming what he called perfect form. But at that moment Akane appeared, where she began to launch several black flash at him, while Yuji tried to understand her attack pattern, and when she knew it she simply returned a black flash that made him semi-unconscious. Gojo, wow, the sorcerer who is considered a legend, gave him the title of the strongest, he said, impressed. Megumi, all this and Sukuna? I asked, confused. Screen. By absorbing all the spirits, he was not lying, since he absorbed the 4 spirits, and Sukuna, where Yuji had an internal fight with him, and well, the winner was Yuji, and Sukuna simply died. Nanami, you're kidding, right? Said in disbelief. No one in the history of sorcery could kill him, but he did. Said without understanding. Geto, well, his perfect form doesn't look bad, he said when he saw Yuji's new style. Maki, what thing is activated? I asked, confused. But they saw how a pattern with a red background appeared on the moon, and then it changed to everything normal, where everyone was fine and lived well and without worries, and Akane along with Megumi and Nobara were in a jujutsu room talking calmly and with fun. Nobara, what happened? Asked, confused. Nanami, are we all okay? Said, confused. Screen. Well, you can go rest or you can go play. Chapter 9. Anna, well, Dad was sexually abused by you, she said, pointing to her mother's. Shoko, in my defense, he looked helpless, said apologetically. Shoji, isn't that worse? Confused whisper to his cousin. Zack 50-50 whisper in response. Anna, okay, but doing it in public? I asked, confused. Shoko. Me. Yudaheim. Choso, NWHWHWHWHW said, amused. Shoji, good point, said thoughtfully. Zack, that place wasn't public until the winery was destroyed, he said thoughtfully. Anna, sometimes I'm surrounded by idiots. Well, I'm an idiot too, but they abuse that privilege, she said with a drop of sweat. Nobara, well, it's obvious that Yuji likes to do it, she said a little nervously. Anna, they abuse my poor father, although he likes it too, she said with a drop of sweat. Geto, my condolences, said sad for Yuji. Yuji, I haven't died yet, you know? Said with a drop of sweat. Megumi, no, but for sure too much SNU will kill you, said so that Yuji gets a chill. Yuji, I must leave the country as soon as possible, he said with fear. Gojo, I don't think it's that bad, he said nonchalantly. Anna just gave him her phone with a video already on, and he watched it for about 10 seconds, and it was enough for Gojo to see Yuji. Gojo, Yuji, I have a private island. If you want, I'll leave it to you so you can hide there, he said with regrets, scaring Yuji. Yuji, what did you see, Gojo? Asked with fear. Gojo, it's better that you don't know, said so that Yuji would be quite scared. Me, well, for reasons I can't talk about, shitty internet, I said nonchalantly, and thought annoyed. We'll see the next part of when Yuji was with Shoko, I said so many would nod. Shoji, oh no, this is going to be bad, he said with a shiver. Yuji, can I go? I asked a little uneasy. Me, if there is no drama, I said so that Yuji would run away. May, what's wrong? I asked, confused. Anna, well, the man said that we would see the next part of when Mom, Shoko, and Dad were together, and it seems that he still hasn't gotten over that day, he said with regrets. May, I don't think it's that bad, she said carefree. Gojo, well, I do want to see what happened, he said with a mocking smile. Nobara, Yuji having hex is something weird, but I'm curious how it happened, she said curiously. Megumi, I'm 90% sure that Yuji was raped by Shoko, said neutral, receiving a blow from Shoko. Geto, I agree with the boy, said thoughtfully. Me, okay, let's react, so to the reaction room please, I asked while pointing to the door. Everyone started leaving while I took a slice of pizza and went to the reaction room to show the Supreme Rooster. Me, well, I have to go to work, so enjoy yourselves, I said nonchalantly. Geto, my condolences, he said empathetically. May, if you like I can help you, but you would have to give me a small percentage, she said with a flirtatious smile. Me? No thanks, I'm fine, so enjoy your stay, I said calmly. Anna, make sure your mother doesn't steal something from me, I said with a drop of sweat. Anna, and what could my mother steal from here? I asked, confused. I just walked over and showed her a couple of pictures of Yuji wearing provocative clothes or being in tight clothes or just half naked, making Anna understand. Anna, calm down, boss, I'll watch her, and what will you give me? She asked curiously. Me? Hey, you can't take whatever you want from the room over there, I said, pointing to a room. Anna, okay, but if there isn't something of value I'll break everything, she said calmly. Me? Okay, take care of yourselves and don't do anything stupid, I said as I left. Gojo, well, we can stop talking and see how my boy crowns, he said funny and mockingly. On the screen, Yuji could be seen finishing his bath while thinking about what had happened a few hours ago, the sealing of Gojo, the death of Nobara, along with all the people who were in Shibuya, along with the mockery and laughter of Sukuna. His head was now in chaos. Yuji simply sighed as he dried his hair with the towel that Shoko had given him and went to the living room. Yuji went to the kitchen and looked for something to eat or drink. He didn't care if it was inappropriate or disrespectful. He just wanted to eat something because his stomach was screaming for it. Shoko was watching this from the couch and understood why Yuji was like that, since he had entered survival mode, so to speak, where his stomach was looking for something edible to survive. After a few minutes of searching, Yuji had found some beer cans and a sandwich with some cookies. Shoko, I don't think it's right for a minor to drink beer, but that doesn't apply to sorcerers, she said, lighting a cigarette. Yuji, I'll pay you back later when all this is over, he said, sitting next to Shoko. Shoko, don't worry about it, said, exhaling the smoke from her cigarette. Yuji simply began to eat calmly while Shoko watched him with a small smile. It was like watching a small child eat sweets for the first time, causing him to let out a small laugh, something that Yuji didn't pay attention to. He only concentrated on eating and drinking his beers, worrying Shoko a little since she didn't know how it would affect Yuji, although being Sukuna's container gives him an extra resistance to poisons and alcoholic beverages. Outside. Nobara, well, we started where we ended, she said thoughtfully. Gojo, apparently he likes being in leather, he said, amused when he saw his half-naked student. Yudheim, I won't deny that she looks good, but why is she like this? She asked, confused and blushing. Anna, as far as I know, Dad always likes to sleep like this or in his underwear, she said nonchalantly. Yuda, well, I don't see it as bad since many people prefer to sleep in their pajamas, he said thoughtfully. Zack, well, this goes just as Aunt Shoko told it, he said calmly. Choso, and Wawawa said, laughing. Kaori, he is a very happy baby, said playing with Choso, and Shoji, when did he get it? Asked confused. Zack, I gave it to him. He said he wanted to play with his grandson, said carefree. Gojo, Shoko, why are you giving beer to my student? He said in a reproachful way. Shoko, it was the only thing I had to drink, and the water in my house has been cut off because they are doing repairs to the pipes, she said, apologizing. Geto, and how do you take a shower if the water in your house is cut off? I asked confused. Shoko, I have 2 plumbing systems in my apartment, one for daily use and the other for the bathroom, so there you have your answer, she said, a little annoyed. Inumaki, this will end badly for Yuji, said with regrets. Panda, I agree, said in agreement. Maki, I don't think Yuji would do anything perverted, she said thoughtfully. On the screen, Yuji was already half drunk, but he was still conscious and his body felt somewhat hot, but he ignored it and continued eating the few cookies he had left and left Shoko the last 2 cans of beer he had left, and she gladly accepted where she took them while Yuji settled on the sofa and looked at the ceiling with some boredom. Shoko, do you want to watch a movie? Asked curiously. Yuji, sure, why not, he said nonchalantly. Shoko put on a movie on Netflix that was an animated one that had recently come out, something that they both began to watch without much trouble. Sometimes it made Shoko laugh, sometimes it relaxed Yuji, but from time to time he would see Shoko out of the corner of his eye, making him blush slightly, but he would shake his head since he didn't understand why that was happening to him. An hour had already passed, and it was already 5:45 a.m. Yuji was a little hot. He thought it was Sukuna's fault, so he sighed and lay down on the couch. Shoko, Yuji, are you okay? I asked a little worried. Yuji, yeah, I just feel a little hot, he said, downplaying it. Shoko, maybe your body adapts to the temperature, said analytically. Yuji, it may be, but it only happens to me when I see you confessed while watching her. Outside. Nobara, Yuji drinking alcohol, something I don't believe, he said incredulously. Gojo, my child was corrupted by this home-wrecking cat, said dramatically. Geto, well, this time I'm with Gojo, you shouldn't have let the boy drink alcohol, he said, sighing. Mei, well, we are sorcerers, so many rules don't apply to us, but I understand your point, she said thoughtfully. Zach Shojiana, wow, how do we tell them that they also gave us that habit, they thought with guilt. Jean, well, it's because there was no water, so I understand. I don't think there's any store nearby that's open at that time, he said a little nervously. Yuta, there is also the fact that Yuji needs a lot of rest since he was up late fighting with the curse, and most likely what follows will be worse, he said thoughtfully. Higuruma, I better not say anything, thought seriously. Yutaheim, that was too direct, said with a drop of sweat. On the screen. Shoko looked at Yuji somewhat surprised. She never expected that answer, but she tried to find the logical and medical explanation, but she wouldn't deny that she also saw Yuji out of the corner of her eye from time to time while they watched the movie. Shoko, maybe it's because of the beer since it's the first one you drink, and it's a side effect, said Analytica. Yuji, it may be, but it feels weird, he said confused. Shoko, strange in what sense? Asked curiously and worried. Yuji, I don't know how to say it. My body is hot, but not from the heat or from the beer, but from something else. At first I thought it was because of Sukuna, he said, somewhat worried, but it seems to be excitement, he said, sighing. I don't know why or what happened to make me feel this way. But I feel excited, he confessed while looking at the ceiling. Shoko, well, it's normal for teenagers since your hormones are crazy, so to speak, she said, funny and mocking. Outside. Nobara, well, at least he was honest, she said confused. Gojo, well, Shoko is right. Her hormones are really crazy because of her, he said mockingly and amused. Geto, at least he's telling her how he feels, he said surprised. Megumi, hot Yuji in a sexual way, something that I must take off my list, said to take out a list. Megumi's list. Seeing Gojo being a good father. Nobara being humble. Mahagara drinking mate. Horny Yuji? Yuji having a date and bothering him. Kasakabe, it's incredible that Shoko, one of the most reserved girls, is dating a minor, he said something incredulous. Kaori, well, I'm also older than Jean, but only by 2 years, she said somewhat confused. Yutaheim, well, I think it's something I really don't know what to say or how to take it, she said with a nervous smile. On the screen. Yuji just looked at the ceiling tiredly while Shoko looked at him and simply smiled with amusement and something perverted. Shoko, so you could say you're horny, right? She said flirtatiously, making Yuji shiver. Yuji, why yes, see, could you say I'm horny, said with some difficulty. Shoko, do you want help? I asked with a mocking smile. Yuji glanced at Shoko and saw that she was smiling with amusement and simply got on top of her, cornering her. Yuji looked at her for a few seconds and simply kissed her. This surprised Shoko greatly. She never expected Yuji to kiss her, but she continued the kiss while hugging Yuji by the neck while kissing him, and Shoko simply laid Yuji down, and she sat on his lap. They both looked at each other. Yuji, I'm sorry, said somewhat embarrassed. Shoko, why are you sorry? Asked curiously. Yuji, I just wanted to return the joke, but I couldn't resist, and while I kissed her, confessed a little blushing. Shoko, you know it doesn't bother me, but you have to take charge, she said flirtatiously, lifting her shirt. Outside. Nobara, well, this looks like the beginning of some porn scene or movie, said with a straight face. Yuta, well, I don't think anything bad will happen, he said a little nervously. Geto, Shoko, stay away from the kid, said with a cap and FBI glasses. Gojo, Shoko, what are you going to do to my child, he said mockingly. Yutaheim, Shoko, was it really a joke? Asked curiously. Shoko, who knows, said playfully and somewhat flirtatious. Jean, well, I don't know what to say, he said when he saw his son kissing Shoko. Kaori, poor son, they are going to take away his collagen and energy, she said mockingly, six amused. Megumi, well, this is better than listening to Gojo, said with a drop of sweat. Shoji, now I understand why he is afraid of Mom, said with regret. Anna, I'd better not say anything since Mom also did the same, she said with a drop of sweat. Luckily this ends here since there is no continuation or something that shows more, she said, checking the tablet. Zach, where did you get it? Asked confused. Anna, the gentleman gave it to me to show whatever I wanted, she said, shrugging her shoulders. Shoji, maybe the gentleman hid the +18 moments somewhere else so that no one would see them, or he simply forgot to change their location, he said thoughtfully. Zach, or he doesn't want to traumatize Uncle Yuji too much by making him remember those moments, he said thoughtfully. Anna, well, we can go now, so I'll go to the kitchen to get something to drink, she said before getting up and going to the kitchen. Zach, wait for me, he said, following Anna. Everyone had a drop of sweat, but after a few seconds they went to their room or the kitchen to have something to eat or drink.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.